Welcome back. Another special Saturday here on Racing Post Live, brought to you in conjunction with the Betfair Exchange. Myself, Dave Orton, delighted to be back in the seat. 3 meetings for you today. I think that's the first time that's ever happened here on the show. We'll be going to Haydock, of course, for Group 1 action. We'll be popping in and out of Ascot as well. And don't forget, the Queen is back, 2:35. Enable takes another tilt at the September Stakes. Absolutely delighted with a stellar panel. First time we've ever managed to convince a racehorse trainer to come in here. Would you believe it? Let's see if he'll come back after this. We don't know. Oliver Cole joins us. Oliver, how are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me again.
Hot-footed in. Well, you're such a success on the feature show we did the other week. Here you are again. It's all gone well.
Well, I hope I can live up to expectations.
You will, and you're going to give us a bit of, analytical side from a trainer's point of view today, but you fancy a few as well, no doubt?
Yeah, I fancy a few. I think it's a very exciting day's racing. Can't wait to see Enable run, and yeah, I definitely fancy a few, and hopefully we can give it a few winning tips.
Well, that's what we tend to get judged on, believe it or not. Bruce Millington, talking about judging on winning tips. You've got a big lay today for us, back in the seat, pundit seat today. You're going to be taking a few commentaries for us, and your big lay is?
Dream of Dreams in the sprint. Terrible price. Very impressive winner of a very poor race over a different trip last time. So hit that place lay button.
Yeah, there's a lot of tipsters have gone for it, haven't they? So, yeah. Will it go off Fav?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, there'd have to be a fair bit of support for Hello Humans. I wonder if they might come for Art Power, but that's about the only danger. But I think Dream of Dreams will be Fav, and I think he's a very poor favourite in a race with a zillion different chances.
A lot of fancied horses in the race, aren't there? Isn't it amazing that we've got this Group 1 today at Haydock, and yet a lot of eyes are on Kempton, of course, front page of the Racing Post today, of course. And joining us from Betfair remotely today, Neil Hubbard. Neil.
Yeah, hi Dave. Sorry I can't be there in the studio, but travel issues on the trains today that have plagued us all at one time or another, but happy to be dialed in and joining you from afar.
Absolutely. Good to have you back, Neil. Let's just stick with you, Neil. Let's talk about Enable. This is interesting from a punting perspective, isn't it? I think she opened up around about 1-5 yesterday, Neil. What's she currently trading at the moment, and how much liquidity have we had on her? I think you're going to tell us she's taken up, obviously, most of the market.
Yeah, absolutely. So when betting opened on this, Enable was trading at around 1.2. So in fractional terms, that's 5-1 on. But she's currently into 1.1, which is 10-1 on. So the short price hasn't put off punters from getting stuck in here. And so if we take a look at just how popular she is relative to the rest of the market, in this market, there's £380,000 roughly has been matched on this market. So watch that. So what that means is just how much money has been bet on the market across all of the runners. But of that 380,000, currently £378,000 of it has been bet or traded on Enable. So people back in and laying Enable. So pretty much like 99% of all of the volume in this market so far has centered around Enable.
She wins, doesn't she, barring accidents? Of course, she beat Crystal Ocean, chaps, didn't she, in this race 2 years ago. David Carr in the paper yesterday, Bruce, lovely little piece, Another View it was called, suggested that this should become the premier British Arc trial going forward. No problems with the ground, timing perfect. Why are there not bigger hitters there? She scared them off, do you think? Or
yeah, she has, basically. I mean, it's not an established trial, and also, do you want a trial, or do you want to actually go for a proper race like, the Irish Champion Stakes or the Juddmonte? I think if you jam something else in this, you might just start taking away from other ones. So if you want to step down and prep in a little Group 3 at Kempton, fine. But I mean, I think it's all fine as it is. I've never looked at the Arc and thought, do you know what, there's a massive hole in the calendar for a huge Arc trial. Dave does make a good case, don't get me wrong, but it's fine as it is.
Yeah, all eyes then 2:35. We'll be building up to that. Let us know your comments, of course. Get them in for Oliver. Let us know what you think about the operation. He's got a few big hitters coming out next weekend. Perhaps he can give you the lowdown on them. We've got the St Ledger meeting as well, which will be coming here on RP Live as well. Hashtag Racing Post Live. Get your social comments in. We absolutely love those. Facebook Live, those of you that are watching on there, welcome. And also YouTube as well. What a show. What a ride. Fast and furious stuff. Are you ready, Ollie Cole?
I'm very ready. I couldn't be more ready.
Absolutely.
But I think I'm ready anyway.
Of all the races today, Ollie, that you looked at, was there something that you thought, ooh, that's definitely sticking out to me, or am I putting you on the spot a bit there?
Well, you might be. I did like Hughie Morrison's horse.
Kips.
Kips and the bottom weight horse I quite like.
That he's got,
off a very low weight.
There's a bit of love.
Ollie, you've got to hang on a sec. First of all, before we go, okay, you horsey people, you never refer to horses by their actual names, do you? You always talk about the acclamation colt or the top one or Hughie Morrison's one. Call them by their names.
Well, we've got to remember them first.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember the name.
If you're around about racing people, they never talk about horses about their actual names. It's really odd.
It's the Requinto, or
exactly.
And we're looking down, going, "What's the pedigree?" Yeah, absolutely, quite right. We're getting in already. Fast and furious stuff this is going to be. I'll tell you what, so we're around about 8 minutes away from the first at Haydock. Shall we jump straight in? Because this is one of the races of the entire day. It's certainly been one of the markets of the entire day. Calusi coming back against My Oberon and the tried and tested mudlark Stormy Antarctic in a cracking superior mile. 1:45 at Haydock. Neil Hubbard, show us the state of the market.
Yeah, so Calusi is your market leader, 2.44. So in fractional terms, that is around the 6-4 sort of mark. Plenty of support for him, though. Dark Vision was a late non-runner in this. So Dark Vision was only pulled out probably about an hour ago. Stormy Antarctic next in, 7.2. Top rank, 8.2. My Oberon, 8.6. Kinross 9.6, Kesar 12s, and the outsider Gunnery at 30. So plenty of support for Calusi, especially in the last hour or so, I'd say.
Neil, where are you playing? And this is the protocol that we're going to be following on the show today. Let us know so the punters can react to exactly where you're going. Then we'll talk about the charities that we're playing for today. We'll come up with a pearl on that, actually. But Neil, what's the bet?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to side with Calusi here. I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt after his Britannia win. So his Britannia win was awesome, wasn't it? We can all remember that. He was really impressive. And then at Goodwood, for whatever reason, he was a bit, I don't know, just rubbish, really. I don't know if it was a combination of the track or the quicker ground or whatever it was. But, I mean, he travelled okay in that race for long periods. He hit a low of 3-1 on in running. So for the best part of the race, everything was going to plan. And then for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. But I think his brilliance in the Britannia has earned him a second chance. So no excuses today, you wouldn't have thought. So I'm happy just to place a simple back-only win bet on Calusi here, Bruce.
He's shortening all the time. He's gone from 2.4 to 2.34, so we better hurry up. How much do you want?
Let's just go £25. There's 10 races here today, so we need to just be responsible with how we're staking today. So we'll just place a simple back bet there on Calusi in the opener.
Was the Britannia is the Britannia working out?
Oh yeah,
it is working.
Yes,
out.
it is. You didn't have a runner in that.
No.
Have you ever had a runner against Calusi? It was Wolverhampton when he won in the winter.
No, I don't. No.
I think
He was
a horrible
sensational.
price here, isn't he?
Well,
stinks to high.
He was 11-4 when he opened up yesterday. My Oberon was actually favourite.
Why on earth? My Oberon is 8.6. That's impossible. Like, everyone's making these excuses that he didn't like the track or he didn't like the ground.
Yeah.
My Oberon's beaten him and been put through the rails, and he's 8.6. I'm not having that at all. That's nuts.
So he's your play in the race.
Well, I actually went with Kinross originally, but having looked at the market now, I mean, when we looked at the markets last night, there was not much between My Oberon and Calusi, and now all of a sudden, I mean, I don't know what's gone on here, whether My Oberon's like bolted going to the start. I just think that the market overreacts to things. They're very warm on Calusi. They're very cold on My Oberon. I tell you what, with this Kinross, you know, everyone loves what Calusi did against Finest Sound at Ascot, and you had to.
Yeah.
Don't forget, as a 2-year-old, Kinross battered Finest Sound by 11 lengths.
Yeah.
So, you know, and Kinross ran well last time in the Prix-Jean Prat behind Pinatubo. I think he's a huge, but I think this Calusi's a shocking price. He's obviously, look, if he repeats the Ascot run, he's going to be dangerous, but man, that is short.
Yeah, I've got him on top, but I didn't think he would be around about the 5-4 market. It was when you look at a favourite, don't you? You think that one's vulnerable. I think he might come out. This could well go off favourite. Nothing went right for him at Goodwood, and the ground differential, I think. But 5-4, I must admit, I wouldn't play now.
Dave, what didn't go right for him? He didn't run fast
I'll tell you
enough.
what, he was a bit keen early, and if you remember the race, Jim was suckered into making a move. I don't think he's one of those push-button horses. We were talking
at Ascot,
We were
wasn't it?
talking amongst. Well, that's the thing. But in a big field where they can warm up, they can get going a bit further. He didn't really have that opportunity, I don't think, at Goodwood. So this is his acid test, if you like. What about Stormy Antarctic?
I think he's got a great chance. Second behind Persian King.
Love it.
The form's very solid. He loves the soft ground. You know, he's a tried and tested horse. He's a great horse. I think My Oberon is a massive price. For me, it'd be My Oberon and Stormy Antarctic.
Yeah,
I don't think,
So
for me, I
think
don't
fab.
think Calusi warrants as favourite as he, you know, as he is to be his favourite.
The ground was soft at Ascot, but it wasn't this sort of soft. It has improved slightly at Haydock. Looked at the time of the first race. It was a 2-year-old race. They didn't go that hard early, but it was still 9 seconds slower than standard. That tells you what we're dealing with. It's proper Haydock soft ground. It's different to what you're going to get in the summer at Ascot, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
exactly,
I think that's still a slight question mark for him as well, but I do believe still in the horse. Top Rank is quite an interesting horse. Thought he was going to run really well at York. They blamed a bit of a wide trip that day. Is he up to this level? I'm not sure. Kinross, for those that don't know, Bruce is the number one Rafe Beckett fan. You're also the number one Hello Youmzain fan, so what a day for you.
Yeah, I'm a bit cool on Hello Youmzain today. I don't know why. I do love the horse, but I just think he's perennially underrated in the market. I think today he's at his right price, and I just think with that race, there's so many ifs and buts. I'm not sure I'd want to take a short one, but King Rafe has just had a winner at Kempton.
I was going to ask, did you back it?
I did indeed. And as the credits were rolling, we've both grimaced. I think you backed the...
I backed Temple Brewer,
yeah,
it was called.
And the Rafe completely... I say the Rafe. I've given you a hard time for not saying the horse's name. Zeffirelli.
Zoffarelli.
Yeah, Zoffarelli.
Back
He's
in your
completely
face.
fluffed the start, but then he's come on and won. So hopefully it's the start of a great day for King Rafe.
Yeah, we've got a Group 3 coming up after this at Kempton. Kempton is one of my personal favourite punting tracks, so I'm absolutely all over this today. Ollie Cole and the stable do there as well. We'll get to that. We've got a social come in, the opening one of the day. Who's the honour gone to? Mark Smith. Good to have you on, Mark. Stormy Antarctic for me in the 145 at Haydock. We've got one more coming in, and Stormy Antarctic against the Fav as well. So weighing in with a little bit with Ollie, certainly, and Bruce as well. I think there's a little bit of love there too.
Stormy's just solid, isn't he? I'll tell you what, there's one thing I'd say about today. There's a theme running through today. There's a lot of horses at short prices that you've got to forgive their last run. You've got Favourite Moon later on.
Yeah.
You've obviously got Calusi here. You've got Art Power. It's difficult, isn't it? When you're training these horses, Ollie, do you get horses and they run really poorly and they really disappoint you? But how do you assess whether you can forgive them or not? Do they sometimes come back and you say, "Oh, well, look, we've done their blood," or it was obviously didn't like this, or can punters forgive one bad run?
Well, for me, I think it's very difficult to be able to forgive a bad run, because we get them home and we look at them and we just try and come up with something that we think's valid, because, you know, the horse goes there in great form. If the bloods are right, the temperatures are good, you know, they're sound and they seem 100%. But of course, you know, maybe when you guys get up in the morning or we get up in the morning, maybe we don't feel as well as we do on another morning. So it's a difficult one, but I find it very hard to forgive a run, personally.
Do you get them out quickly once they've disappointed to check that they're okay? Is that how it works?
I suppose we don't really get them out quickly.
I don't mean on the course, I mean at home.
Oh, at home, yeah.
Yeah,
we would.
Straight out.
Yeah, we would.
A little bit of exercise, because Duke of Hazard,
yeah.
those of you that were watching Goodwood last weekend,
Worked
not
this
on this
morning.
show, he worked this morning. And you've showed me a bit of video, and whoosh, away he goes.
Yeah, he absolutely.
Bit of a market update,
Go on.
Neil. What's going on?
Yeah, good one. Yeah, so Calusi is now back on the drift. So he's right back out again to where he was sort of just before we went live at around 7-4. Plenty of support for Top Rank into 6.6, who's now second favourite, now clear second favourite ahead of Stormy Antarctic and My Oberon.
Good luck wherever you're playing then. Neil's on Calusi. Bruce doesn't like the horse at all at the price. It'll be interesting to see what he goes in the run. They're about to go off, so I'll hand you over to Mr. Millington.
Okay, 1 mile the trip, just the 7 runners, and as they leave the stall, slightly slow away was Grain in the black and white colours. Stormy Antarctic has bowled along to the head of affairs. My Oberon on the outside is also prominent. Very keen in third is Kinross, and on the inside, settled nicely, is Top Rank. The favourite Calusi is settled nicely in fifth, ahead of Quasar and then Grain. Anything grab your eye early on, Ollie?
Yeah, I'd be very happy with Stormy Antarctic, I think.
Does he have a lead usually? I don't normally have him down as a front runner. We didn't know where the pace is going to come from here. It was interesting that they kept My Oberon wide, but then they're going a bit of a lick here, and the Fav has settled.
Yeah, he's settled just fine, isn't he? Yeah, he's absolutely fine. What's happening in the market, Neil?
Yeah, Calusi's come back into where he was sort of around the price we backed him. So he's back into that sort of like 5-4 sort of shot at the minute. Stormy Antarctic's second favourite because he's on that front end there.
Turning in about 3F out then, Bruce. Who's where?
You would think it was a front runner's day today, wouldn't you?
Well, let's
we're
see,
just about
because
to get
Stormy's going really well. He's
Yeah.
2 lengths ahead of Top Rank. My Oberon's come under a bit of a
Here
ride.
comes
Coming down the
Calusi.
near side is the Rafe horse Kinross. Calusi's under the gun now, 3.5. They don't like that. Kazar's coming on the outside.
Stormy's gone.
Stormy's completely given way. And down the near side is where the action is, where Kinross
Here's
and
Kinross.
My Oberon are doing battle. Top Rank is third. The
Calusi's
favourite
gone.
surely can't win. Kinross for King Rafe hits the front. Kinross with a furlong to go, but My Oberon is fighting back, and Top Rank is there as well. Not completely done is the favourite, but it's My Oberon and Top Rank from Kinross. Top Rank is grey fur is coming to the front, and Top Rank for James Tate easing to the front and is going to win the race. Top Rank gets the job done. Favourite, very disappointing.
Very disappointing. Well called in the studio, Bruce. You said he stank. I'll tell you what, I sent you a message from holiday. Do you remember? We were texting a little bit, weren't you, when I was away, and I said, there is a Rolls Royce running against handicappers at the meeting. That was it. Yeah. Not a penny on today. Yeah. So it just shows you they can bounce back, can't they? And I know they think the world out of that. They came stand side. That was the thing to say. It was an even pace. Stormy Antarctic's run a stinker out there for you, hasn't he? What's the regret with that?
Well, he probably did a bit too much in front, didn't he?
Interesting. My Oberon's run really well. If you're factoring that they think that this probably wasn't his ideal ground, Bruce, that's really, really well. Your Kinross, the class angle looked like it was coming. He's just struggling to see out his races properly, isn't he?
How short did he get, Kinross? Go on, make me feel really bad, Neil.
It's a really good market, this, if you're betting in running. There was plenty going on. So including the winner, 4 horses went odds on in the run. So Calusi hit 1.74. My Oberon hit 1.22, Kinross 1.44, and Top Rank was matched at a high of 30.
Wow.
Well, at what point can Calusi be an odds-on shot there?
Was it too far out, do you think? Because he did come onto the bridle. And he looked like he was going to move out, didn't he?
At no point did he look like he was coming to win the race.
What do you do with a horse like that now, Ollie? Just quickly, this is a horse that has won a big handicap, and people are getting too excited about that. What do you say to the owner? Look, this is a horse that we need to look after now for next year. He's not quite, I don't know, was it the experience at Goodwood? What is it? Because this is a horse that punters will keep falling for, myself included.
Well, not knowing the ins and outs of the horse, of course, you'd obviously say we'll have to forget that and go back and, see him work next time, see how he gets on. But obviously the ground might have been the ground.
He might just not be that. I mean, let's not forget he won a Royal Ascot handicap. He didn't win a Group 1, he won a handicap. Yes, it was impressive.
Isn't that a different ground though, no? It's supposed to be heavy, isn't it?
It was a bit tacky. Is this heavy now? This is just...
Well,
this could be drying out.
Could be soft in
it. Could be that drying out soft, which gets very tacky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You tend to look at their actions, don't you? And we're just sort of seeing a replay here in the studio now, and maybe it's a bit scratchy, but they have said that he'd rather have good to firm. So one more chance, but I don't know. Neil Hubbard, so the story of the market was 4 horses went odds on. It was the market of the day, wasn't it? Top Rank. Neil?
Yeah, he's 20s from 25s for the QE2 now, Top Rank after that. I imagine something like, the Joel Stakes, something like that. Group 2 might be the next logical one. But 20s for the QE2.
Is he in that, Neil? The entries are out, aren't they? I'll let you have a look at that. And the owner side, Manana, the great horses like he had in the past, like Warsan, etc. You remember, he will want to tilt windmills with this horse, and quite rightly so. He's only been beaten once in his life. Is he in that, Neil? The Joel Stakes?
I'm just looking now.
Okay.
Sorry, Dave. Yeah,
that's all right. No worries.
Now I'm just trying to find that. But yeah, so I mean, it's a big step up, isn't it? To go for what was that? Group 3, wasn't it?
It was.
So Group 3 and stepping up.
But listen, the mile division, we've got no Mahatha, have we? We'll see what happens in the sizzling Prix de Moulin tomorrow, but there is room for improvers still. I'll tell you what, let's move on. Let us know. Are you going to keep the faith with Calusi? Was it more burnt fingers? Did you get the Top Rank? Has Stormy Antarctic ruined your day? Let us know. Social media, # Racing Post Live. Here with the Betfair Exchange, myself, Dave Orton, Ollie Cole, Bruce Millington and Neil Hubbard from Betfair. Shall we move on, chaps, to 2 o'clock, Group 3, Serenia Stakes, isn't it? A Group 3 for 2-year-olds. One of my fancies is badly on the slide here, I've got to say. So let's go to the market and I'll tell you exactly what it is before we see where the gents are absolutely going to go mad on this race. Mine is the mighty Gurkha. I thought he'd be more like a 7-2 shot, Neil. They cannot get rid of him. What's that all about?
Yeah, so Mystery Smiles is your market leader at 5. Just tapping into what Bruce said and Ollie was saying about forgiving a horse a bad run. Cloudbridge is next in 5.7. He definitely falls into that category after what happened at York. Zamani 8.2. Mighty Gurkha, as you say, Dave, 10.5 on the slide. Twassel 11s, and double figures or bigger the rest.
What's the Neil
Top
Hubbard?
rank is in the just to nip that very quickly. Top rank is in everything.
Right.
So he's in the Boomerang Mile and Champions Day over in Ireland. He's in the Joel Stakes. He's in the Cambridgeshire, and he's in the QE2. So they don't appear to have left any stone unturned there. We're trying to get him entered up for the back end of the season. So plenty of options for him there.
You'll be getting your quotes, of course, from PJ McDonald, the rider, James Tate, the trainer of Top Rank, in your members section. Don't miss that as they come out. If you're a fan, let us know which race you think
Someone doesn't mind paying their entry fees.
We don't often see them scattered about from the coal yard, do we? That's for sure. We're learning all the way. All right, so Neil Hubbard, before we go to the chaps and see how they're going to just dissect this tricky affair, where are you playing?
Yeah, I found this tough, to be honest, so I'm quite happy to open this up to the floor. In terms of my thoughts on it, I think Mystery Smiles is probably fair at the head of the market. Cloudbridge, you do need to forgive that run at York, but he was punted off the boards, wasn't he, at York? So there's obviously something there. I quite like the Mighty Gurkha too. To be honest, it wasn't a race that had anything that particularly jumped out at me. So if anyone in the studio does have a strong opinion, I'm quite happy to row in there in terms of the charity bet for this.
Unfortunately, I'm kind of going to join you guys on the fence. It better be a well-built fence with us three sitting on it. I've gone with Nomadic Empire, who got involved in that big schmozzle at York last time. Got involved in the battle. He's very consistent over 5. Steps up here. You wouldn't say he's crying out for 6, but I just think at the prices, he's 16 on the exchange. I think that's a fairly big price. So I've backed Nomadic Empire each way. Not a huge amount of confidence.
He's one of a few that could well get on with it, isn't he? Ollie Cole.
I've gone to Zamani. He had to give £3 away to Mystery Smile the last time they met. He's an improver, and I just like him.
Do you worry about the fact that he's trained by one of those new father-son trainer combinations? They haven't really worked, have they? So
they're having a terrible year.
Unfortunately, they're doing very well.
We want them to come back, Bruce. They are doing really well, and actually, was it the Bahrain? I want to say it was called Bahrain Trophy. Let me just click on Simon and Ed Quiz. They had the winner of the Ripon 2-year-old trophy. Did you see that in a week?
Yeah, it was good, that, wasn't it? Yeah.
But I think they sent out 16 runners before we had a runner to get the first winner, and then we came in.
Excellent.
And then I saw Ed at the race. So I said, well, listen, you just can't. You just get cream always rises to the top.
How many are there? There's Simon and Ed Christopher. There's
just,
you and
just,
Dad.
just
Is that
us,
it so
just
far?
two.
There is a certainty to have more, aren't we?
Yeah.
With the economic crisis that's looming over. It's an absolute certainty. There will be 2 well-established trainers. We had Adam Ryan down in the studios yesterday for feature shows. We went out for a drink afterwards and said, is this ever going to happen with you? And he goes, well, we won't do it. The old man will just, I'm happy to be an assistant. We'll just step aside when he
Do you know what, Dave? I counted up yesterday in the today's trainers table in the Racing Post. There was 350 trainers had runners in Britain and Ireland.
Wow.
I mean, that's unsustainable. That's 350 businesses all chasing a shrinking pot of prize
What on earth made you do that on a Friday night?
Because I just looked, I was looking through it. I always check it, Seeking Race Runners. And I looked through it and I thought, look at all these trainers.
Yeah,
How
right.
can they possibly... What are we racing for yesterday in all? It can't have been more than 300 grand. Oh, it might have been a tad more. There's so many yards chasing such a small amount of money.
Yeah.
So,
But the thing is, I know it's a small amount of money, but for example, we had a horse that won at Lingfield the other day, and the race was worth absolutely nothing. But the point is, the horse won, and now you can sort of back off the horse and let him improve. But
Was that the nursery?
Yeah, it was Gordonston.
Yeah, he's quite an interesting horse, isn't he?
Yeah, so we expect him to win first time out at Lingfield, and he came on the outside and sort of pulled, and then he ran at Bath, and I probably put too much kit on, and he didn't really do much. And then we went to Chepstow, and I was thinking, right, here we go. Might do it today. He came last. And then my old friend Luke Morris got on it. I said, whatever, you can't miss a beat with this horse. Anyway, he went up to Leicester, ran well, and then won.
That's when he came on my
Finally, he's got his... And I think he's an improving horse, that horse.
Yeah.
Because we honestly thought quite a lot of him before.
Did you have a little tickle at Lingfield? Or?
No, well, actually, the owner's at 33 to 1. The owner's actually, I think, paid for the training fees.
Well, that's
and
what
some.
it's all about.
But my wife owns half of it, and I think we got £1,000 prize money.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, happy
Not
days.
a lot of money out there.
Okay, so Zamani for Ollie. Bruce, you're happy to take.
Nomadic Empire at a big price.
Yeah, my worry with the Mighty Gurkha is a pace battle, but he was supposed to win a listed race in France last time, and the jockey I don't know if you saw it, he just completely took off the blindfold way too late and he missed a beat and he couldn't go on.
Well, if two of you have gone for Mighty Gurkha, we should go Mighty Gurkha, and we
Yes.
should talk about the charity as well.
Yeah, we should do. Do you want to take that away?
Well, we looked at it, didn't we? We were talking beforehand. There's a lot of need for people to keep contributing. Obviously, you've got the established charities here and the Injured Jockeys Fund and Racing Welfare. But, Ollie, you were talking just about there's a kind of potentially growing problem, isn't there, with the amount of horses being put up for retirement and rehoming.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on these sort of retraining of racehorse businesses because a lot more are going into it. So I think a lot of owners are sort of stepping away, which is which is quite understandable. So I think that it's a great charity to donate to, and after all, these horses are the things that make our living.
Sure. Great. Okay. Well, let's try and win some money then, Adam.
Yeah.
So what Adam Neil. What are we doing?
So Mighty Gurkha, is that right? Yeah. So it's 9.4 now, so just a tad bigger than 8 to 1. We'll back that to win. Is that right? Is that what we're all in agreement with?
Yeah,
Is that
no
how you
messing
played,
about.
I think
Dave?
so.
Yeah. And what, £25 win on that?
25 win.
Okay.
Oh, no,
He's a
we've
front
missed the
runner too,
price.
isn't he?
When he won at Lingfield, do you remember? And they rushed him to get ready for Royal Ascot. I don't think that really bothered him. He bounced back from Royal Ascot. We were really impressed, weren't we, Bruce? Do you remember? He absolutely destroyed that Lingfield field. And Archie Watson this time last year, all his all-weather 2-year-olds were holding all before them, weren't they? I just looked at this and thought, if he breaks, I can just see him making all,
I'm in trouble here because I tried to get the bet on and there's a massive punt on him. So we've had to take 8.36. But anyway, we're on now. So he wins us £184 and 3 pence. So let's hope he can get the job done.
Nomadic Empire's a front runner too, isn't he?
He is. Your Zamani likes to get on with it, I think, doesn't he, as well, a little bit. And Cloudbridge could possibly be out there. Tom Segal, price-wise. First mention for Tom today. I think he's gone for Cloudbridge, and he was around about 8 to 1 yesterday. Halved in price, no surprise there. Drawn 8, hood on.
Also, that horse River Alwen that he beat first time up, that
Didn't
ran
run well.
kind of okay-ish early on.
Yeah.
I don't know with Cloudbridge. I mean, again, everyone's saying, well, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, but it's still a poor old run, wasn't it?
Again, it's the
for me,
boys in
because
blue, isn't it? And it
You've
could
got
be
a ton
slightly
of
better.
progressive horses here, haven't you? So you've got one that ran like that last time. I'm not sure why you'd be so keen to go in again.
The other horse, Rebel at Dawn, drawn 1. Listen, a low draw at Kempton is, for those of you that aren't too familiar with your all-weather racing at Kempton, I'm sure you should be. There's plenty of action out there, and it has been since resumption as well, thankfully. It's on the turn. You want to be low, really. If you have a horse that goes to Kempton and you've got a high draw, if it's got no style of preference, what will you tell the jockey to do, or will you just say just try?
Well, you sort of leave it to the jockey. If the horse breaks very well, you go forward, but if it doesn't, unfortunately, you just have to sit and suffer.
And if you have one that completely blows out from a bad draw, you just let's put a line through that and we'll move on. Don't blame anyone. Move on.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We'll talk about going forward. They are going forward for the boxes now. Good luck wherever you're playing 2 o'clock here on Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange in the Cyrenia Stakes. This often goes to a very progressive 2-year-old, and this Mighty Gurkha is the charity bet here for us in the studio. Let us know where you're going that first race. Just to give you the time from the first race we've covered here. Haydock, it's slow by 7.6, and that was a decent race, and they went a fair pace, so that's telling us all we need to know.
Big gamble here, Neil.
What, Mighty Gurkha?
Zamani.
Yeah,
Zamani's fav on the exchange.
Yeah, Zamani is duelling with Mystery Smiles now at the top of affairs, but plenty of money for Mighty Gurkha as well. He's into 7.4, so around 13 to 2.
I honestly think, guys, if this breaks, I actually napped this yesterday, so I'm a bit surprised to see him out there. Archie Watson's horses continue to run okay.
God, he is being punted. He's 6.8 now. Interesting.
Plenty of support for
That's
him now.
Cloudbridge mucking around. He doesn't want to go in, does he?
And again, the hood, when you see a horse with a hood that just behind the boxes, you think, is he going to be a bit keen? From stall 8, James Doyle's really going to have his work cut out, isn't he? Twarsoul's in this as well, isn't he? Careful with that, Bruce, in the call. Yeah. But he needs to bounce back from a run. You're right, there are loads of horses you need to bounce back from.
God, he's so impressive, Twarsoul.
There's a lot you can do with Twarsoul, but if you've backed him, listen, he's going to need a lot of luck from stall 9, but that's the Woodcut winner, you'll remember, on on Derby Day. Bruce Millington, call them home.
We've got a couple more to go in. Gussie Mack is waiting patiently out the back because they're trying to get Cloudbridge in. They're doing the old tail thing, which I don't like, yanking the horse's tail. I'm told that isn't to kind of, it's like pulling its hair.
Do you know
it's
what?
just to
There's
stop
been
it
a bit
kicking.
of talk about that in the media. I wonder if someone's been listening to you on that. I've heard it mentioned on certain channels.
I just think it looks terrible. Pulling a horse's tail to get him
It's supposed to be educational, isn't it?
Yeah, but educate.
I know,
would you,
I agree.
Would you pull
I'm
a
not going to
schoolgirl's
argue with
hair
you.
to get him into going to school?
I'm not going to get into this. I agree with you on this. But
Bruce, we'd love to get you down to help us with the stalls at home.
Look,
last
I'm not
one's
saying
in.
it just looks
Last one's
bad.
in.
Let's
We'll
have
get
a
to
look.
the
Anyway,
tail
here we
pulling.
go.
Let's get to the race.
They're off and running in the Cyrenia Stakes, and a pretty scruffy start from Gussie Mack, who steers violently out to its left. Also fairly slow away early on. Hala, hala, hala. Charging up the inside, Rebel at Dawn with the cheek pieces and a very keen attitude. But it's Mighty Gurkha.
Go on, the Gurkha!
Who goes to the front and sweeping round the outside is Cloudbridge in second. He's put his Travails at the stalls behind him. Mighty Gurkha, he heads
Happy with
into the
this.
state. Cloudbridge is marking him on the inside. He's Rebel at Dawn. And then in fourth, we have got the favourite Mystery Smiles. Also going very well, Zamani. In behind them is Nomadic Empire. But as they straighten up with 3 furlongs to go, who do you want to be on, Ollie?
Well, I'm very happy with Zamani at the moment. Obviously, the Mighty Gurkha is going very well.
Go on, the Gurkha, quicken it up.
Mighty Gurkha as they come down to the 2 furlong pole. He comes to the cutaway. Mighty
on,
Gurkha
Gurkha.
digging
Keep
in.
finding.
Cloudbridge can't get to him. I'm not sure anything's going
Come
to
on,
get to him.
Gurkha, keep
Mighty
finding.
Gurkha by 2. They're all bunching up
Keep
for second.
finding. Go
Cloudbridge
away,
is
Tom
staying
Joss.
on.
Keep finding.
Here comes Zamani,
Come
but
on,
I'm not sure
Gurkha.
they're going to get there. It's Mighty Gurkha
Oh,
from Cloudbridge.
Come on, Gurkha,
Cloudbridge
keep
is
him up,
coming.
Adam.
Here comes Cloudbridge.
Go on, the Gurkha.
Come on, Mighty Gurkha.
Yes.
Mighty
Woohoo.
Gurkha just about wins it from Cloudbridge. And on the inside, Mystery Smiles.
Well
wow,
done.
that was a game
Well
performance.
done.
Happy days. That's got us going. Great call, Bruce Millington. The second race in. We were a little bit underwhelmed with the first one, despite the fact at Haydock it was a great finish. He has got there, lads, hasn't he? I'm assuming.
1.01. So
Oh, let's hope so. The angle we can see here. Neil Hubbard.
Yeah, 1.02, 1.05 on the exchange now in the photo. Cloudbridge around 20. So the market suggests he's got it.
he's got it. He's got it. He's definitely got it. That would be impossible for him not to
Now-
win that. Well done, lads.
That was a fascinating race from an exchange perspective, Neil, wasn't it? Because he's controlled the race. We hopefully told you out there, if you were listening to us, that if he breaks, he should just about make all. But he's wandered a little bit in front, Ollie. I think he's just idled slightly. But watch Cloudbridge. We're looking at the replay here. Nothing got into it from the back. They threatened to. Cloudbridge comes all the way stand side. Has he thrown it away, or has the winner got that little bit more left in reserve?
Well, as you say, I think he's idled in front.
Which is interesting for a front runner, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you just watch him there. I thought he was in trouble, and Adam thought he was hands and heels, Adam McNamara, the jockey. He's absolutely had another go for him. The eye catcher, Mystery Smiles, no doubting about that. He's
Nomadic Empire's run very well from where he was.
Yeah, he has run well.
okay.
hasn't he? Yeah.
He was in
Yeah.
fourth, and Zamani in fifth as well. The beauty of this show, we are dictated to by the horse racing. We want a little bit of a lift. We've got one in the second race. Neil Hubbard, how short did Cloudbridge go, just out of interest? Because you looked sure to come and get him at one point.
Yeah, he didn't really go well. Like 1.33, so 3's on. Yeah, I mean, it was a much improved effort from him, wasn't he? So he's proved that York run to be all wrong. It was a pretty good run for him, but he is very wayward, isn't he? Both pre-race and in the race itself. But yeah, really good performance from the Mighty Gurkha. And as you said, that debut win at Lingfield was just all speed and really impressive. And it's good to see him bounce back here. But yeah, the front two sort of had it between them, didn't they? A couple of nice ones in behind, but really good performance from the winner, and the runner-up bounced back.
Yeah, Mystery Smiles to me caught the eye, chaps, and I'm sure we'll be calling him before the season's out on this show as well. Stiffer test, Bruce, do you think? He was running on strong, wasn't he?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they're all fairly exposed, aren't they? Cloudbridge is the only one that's just had the 2 runs. So despite the fact that the 2-year-old season has been truncated by the late start, they're all reasonably exposed. I'm not sure there's a superstar in there, but it's all good form, isn't it? I think, there's nothing necessary to get you start thinking about the real big races for next year, but there's some nice types in there.
Looking at the last a few winners of the race, I suppose Invincible Army. The Last Lion, do you remember him for Mark Johnson?
Yeah, well, he's one of those ones that retired at 2, wasn't he? Do you remember?
Let's not get Bruce's bugbear up on that.
You can't retire horses at 2, can you?
No,
Did they do that with Dark Angel? Or was he?
They did it with 2 there, didn't they? The Learjet sire
Oh, yeah, okay.
No,
okay.
that is the Learjet, isn't it?
Yeah.
What am I on about? Yeah,
Yeah.
Prince Lear, yeah.
Prince Lear. That's
Well,
right.
you're worse than me.
I know, mate. I know. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to pay. There's going to be a hell to pay, isn't there? I'm calling Ollie out. Call them by their names.
Let's go to the Betfair then. Let's call him by his real name. Let's go to the Betfair, Colt, because we're moving on. It's Haydock coming up. We've just had a sprint on the all-weather, but we've got a mile 6 handicap coming up for 3-year-olds. And Neil Hubbard, tell us about this. It's a tight market, I believe. Favourite moon,
Yeah.
Arthurian Fable. Who's the favourite?
Yeah, Arthurian Fable is your favourite, 2.84ish, which is around the 15 to 8 mark. Favourite Moon, course and distance winner, 3.8. Aldebaran, 5.7. Midra, 6.2. And Dancing Harry is your outsider. But Arthurian Fable, pretty solid at the top of the market, but it is a pretty tight affair in the market.
We are around about 25 minutes away from enable time. I should tell you that, as if you didn't know. Warming up for that. Let us know your social media comments. How are you approaching the race? Are you looking in the without market? Are you looking at forecasts? Are you one of the money buyers out there that's backed her in from 5s on? There are no other British group runners winners in the race, would you believe? It looks like a steal, doesn't it? 25 minutes away from enable, the Queen coming back. In the meantime, back to Haydock we go. Neil Hubbard, where are you playing in this then, Neil? This is an interesting little race.
Yeah, it is an interesting little race, and you can't confidently rule out any of the top 4, I wouldn't think. I think Favourite Moon was the one I came down on side of the most. Again, he's another one of these horses that we already touched on that you have to forgive a bad run last time. But he was a course and distance winner before that, beating Subjectivist, who's obviously gone on to frank that form in no uncertain terms. Favourite Moon did receive a shed ton of weight from him that day. But the same happens here with getting a load of weight from Aldebaran and Arthurian Fable. So things could just work out again for him. I mean, conditions should be fine. He's by See the Moon, so that German sire. So the softer the ground and the longer the trip, that sort of combination would seem to work in his favour. So it's a pretty tentative one because, as I say, you can't confidently rule out the others, but Favourite Moon for me, just.
I'm weighing in with Neil Hubbard. I should get in that as well. I was in the studio with Neil, indeed, when he won that day and he beat Subjectivist. You're right, he was getting the money, but you just got the feeling this was a horse that was going places. See the Moon, Ollie, just, sires, while we're on the breeding subject, and let's call him See the Moon. That is one of my favourite sires, I've got to say, the German sire. There's talk about the sales being a little bit underwhelming at the moment. Shadwell didn't turn up to the UK Golf sale, despite the fact there was a little bit of buoyancy there. But in Germany, something went for 800 grand or something.
Well, I think a brother to See the Moon.
That's right. So have you got any, first and foremost?
No, we haven't got any. But I believe a brother to him made 800 and something grand yesterday, right. and then another one made 300 and something. So
have you ever had a See the Moon?
No.
So look, what I'm saying is
they're very good-looking horses.
I think they're quite special. I love them. Late maturing. So Michael Stout, for example, I don't know why he hasn't got more of them. He'd do absolutely brilliantly with them. Soft ground. This is out of a Mon Germain. It's going to stay. First time tongue tie on makes you think all was not quite well at York. Bruce Millington, do you agree?
With what? You said loads of stuff.
Favourite Moon. I always say loads of stuff. Favourite Moon?
You were talking about Bloodstock there, I just glazed over.
I know.
Favourite Moon, again, in the forgiveness stable, we've had one Calusi who you shouldn't have forgiven and one Cloudbridge who arguably you did well if you did forgive it.
And Mighty Gurkha to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Favourite Moon's last run was very disappointing. The previous run at Haydock was excellent. So you've got to be governed by the price, really. 3.7 is probably bigger than I was expecting, but I've gone with the other Haggis horse, Midra. Progressive has run 3 times, a mile and 2, a mile and 4, and now up to a mile and 6. So that they're not messing about. They're fast tracking this filly up to the trip that they think she's good at. She might not be good enough, but I'm happy to take a chance at 6.4 or 5-1 on the fixtures.
So it's very unusual for Willie Haggis to have 2 runners, isn't it, in a race like this? But he maybe he doesn't have real faith in Favourite Moon. Maybe.
Are you allowed to call him Willie?
I'm so glad you said it, because us journalists are not.
Honestly, any journalist who rings up, the kids do it sometimes. They ring up for a quote and they say, hello, Willie. Oh, that's the last time they do that.
Goodbye. Exactly. Yeah, see you on Oddschecker. Exactly.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure. William Haggis, he doesn't often have, as I said, 2 horses in a handicap. Well,
do you like Midra then?
Yeah, I do. I think she's a nice filly. Obviously, it's a big step up, but I do like her. I like Aldebaran. Do you like Aldebaran?
Well, it's a class drop, isn't it? That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's come up against Santiago first time, and then Alkari, wasn't it, in the Bahrain Trophy?
First time in a handicap.
My worry about Aldebaran, perhaps Neil that might be the one to bring in on this, is I'm pretty sure he'll hit a flat spot at some point. He wears blinkers for good reason. And I wonder, is Haydock going to be, it might sound silly to say this over a mile 6 on soft ground, but is Haydock going to be the right track for him? I'm not sure. I mean, he's a proper 2-miler.
We're not really talking much about the favourite. He's so solid, isn't he? You know,
Gift horse in the mouth.
He's just so solid. Yeah. You're going to have to run really well to beat him. And there may well be one that comes and beats him, but I'm not sure 2 are going to beat him. So
Very progressive, isn't he?
Yeah, I just think he's really, really good. He's ultra consistent, and Jim Crowley, no better jockey at the moment. He's absolutely flying. So I mean, I've gone with Midra, but I mean, if anyone said, well, what do you think of the favourite Arthurian? I wouldn't put anybody off at all. I think he's one might beat him, but I'm not sure 2.
He's having a brilliant season, Jim Crowley, isn't it? We should talk about this. 2,000 winners up in the week.
Incredible. And do you know what I was thinking about Jim Crowley is that I think the best compliment you can say to him is that he very seldom gets criticised for a bad ride. He doesn't always necessarily get called out for an act of brilliance, but people will say, oh, what was Moore doing on that, or what was Jamie doing on that? But you very rarely hear punters say Crowley's messed that up. You know, he always does it right. Doesn't
Neil
he?
Callan used to have that about him, didn't he? You wouldn't. You're right. That dash of brilliance that Spencer or Moore perhaps has, or Fallon, he was always in the right place at the right time, Neil Callan, I think.
Except if you're Marcus Draconi, of course.
Well, yeah, possibly, I suppose. I don't know. I mean,
No, Jim's a brilliant jockey. I mean, come on, I'm only joking, but he's an amazing jockey. He rarely makes mistakes. He's strong. You know, he's got a good brain on him, and he's a brilliant jockey to employ because
I've been told he fancies a chance on Tabdi, by the way, in the Sprint Cup. I can pass that on from a very good source. And let's not forget he does ride Batash as well. So Tabdi needs to stand up. That's our Group 1 coming up in
What's our bet here, by the way?
I'd be happy with Favourite Moon, but having had the mighty Gurkha, I'll let you guys take the floor here.
Well, no, you and Neil are the guys in form, and you both fancy Favourite Moon.
I just think Favourite Moon was favourite to beat Arthurian Fable in the Melrose at York. You called that race home. It was too bad to be true. They're sticking on the tongue ties, coming back over course and distance, which he loved. And Subjective has had the run of the race that day when he beat him. Yes, he was getting stone and 6, but Favourite Moon for me with that Zini on, he looks the most likely winner to me.
You happy to concede here, Neil?
Yeah.
Not Neil.
Oliver.
Yeah, Ollie. I mean,
Right.
I think they're the guys in form, so we'll let those 2 keep it, and if they blow out, we'll have the next.
You
one.
know what's going to happen here, don't you, Neil Hubbard?
Yeah, we've pretty much got joint favourites now, though. Favourite Moon probably just nudging ahead of Arthurian Fable. So if we're going to back Favourite Moon, we better get on now and
how
take
much?
that price, I suggest. 25 again, shall we?
Okay, fair enough.
And just remind us, Bruce, this is going to retire.
This is the ROR, retraining of racehorses.
Yeah,
so if you
fantastic
Google
course.
it, ROR. So any money that we win, and we already had 184 quid from the previous race, goes to that. And if you do have a fantastic day and back loads of winners, then go on to Google and tap in ROI.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant charity. So hopefully you can put a few quid their way at a time when, as Ollie says, there's a lot of horses going into that kind of funnel, isn't there, that need looking after.
And if you're going on from that, and if you have the means to look after a horse and you have a stable there, it's a great place to get a horse from.
Dave, you're rebuilding, aren't you? Your house. So can you get a couple of boxes in there?
I'll put it to the wife and see what she says. I've got a little daughter. Thankfully, she's 1 and she doesn't even like watching horse racing and like my son on the screen. But at the moment, I'm not sure I can get a box in the garden. I might just be able to move into the stables nearby. But yeah, absolutely. Bruce is right. If you do have the means, it's easy to do on the website. I did have a little look earlier on as well. So they're going in. We like Favourite Moon here. What do you like out there here on Racing Post Live? That's the hashtag. Get involved, whether you're watching on YouTube or indeed Facebook Live. Great to have you. It's another sizzling Saturday. We're coming up to Enable. The Queen, she's back. And then Group 1 action at Haydock as well. Tactical little affair coming up. Last market update, please, Neil Hubbard.
Yeah, Arthurian Fable back to the head of the market. I mean, I don't suppose he ever really left it. There was just a bit of money for Favourite Moon, but he heads it at 3. Our Favourite Moon 3.3, Aldebaran 6.8. Midra probably jumped up to third favourite now, 6.4, and Dancing Harry is still the rag at around 13.
But quite a popular rag though, Neil. Coming to 11
he was a bit
at the
bigger,
off.
wasn't he?
As they jump away, 5 runners. They've got a lap and a bit of the Haydock terrain, and it is the aforementioned outsider Dancing Harry who's prominent early on, along with the Godolphin horse in the blue, which is Aldebaran. Settled out the back is Favourite Moon. With the rails position is the other Haggis runner Midra, and in fourth we've got Arthurian Fable. Any market moves, Neil?
The market looks very similar to how it was about a couple of minutes before the off. Arthurian Fable has gone a little bit shorter. But no, pretty much as you were, I guess.
All settled nicely, Ollie. I guess that's the first thing, isn't it? Yeah. When you're in the grandstand with the binoculars, you just want your horse to settle, don't you?
I think I'd be very happy with the 2 at the top of the market, just trailing the front 3.
Interesting tactics on Aldebaran here. Do you remember I said, look, guys, I think he's a 2-miler with this. Will this track be ideal? Godolphin have done their homework, and William Buick has had to light him up a little bit early. He's a tad keen, but now William, not taken on up front, has the ability to drop anchor.
And yet, Dave, the market, this is what I keep going on about on this show, the market hates these front runners. Yes. 7.4, I mean, to me, that's you're in the box seat there, you're dictating the pace, you're dictating the tempo, you can have a look round and see how they're going in behind, and I think it's an advantage. But Favourite Moon, who's moved into fourth now, past Arthurian Fable as they go down the back straight, is actually moved into favouritism as well at 2.78. So again, Aldebaran is touching 8, even though he's striding on nice. He's going well, isn't he, Ollie?
Yeah, I think Adzini obviously is a bit worried that he needs to be a bit further forward. So obviously that you'd have to be happy with Aldebaran.
I wouldn't be happy on Favourite Moon now, guys. When he won here, he was just off subjectivist collar turning in. Not happy at all.
Well, they're coming to the end of the back straight, and Aldebaran is still 5.3, which looks a massive price to me. He's 2 lengths clear and going perfectly well. On the inside is Dancing Harry with Cam Hardy. Holly Doyle is marking the moves in third on Midra, and then we've got Favourite Moon, who admittedly is going well now and is a lot closer in fourth, and then Arthurian Fable and Jim Crowley. So all to play for. The cards are about to be put on the table as they enter the home straight. Come on, lads, who's going to win this?
He's now looking a bit vulnerable, isn't he? I'll tell you what, Midra's got a great chance. Here comes Arthurian Fable. It's about, has Favourite Moon gone? And the outsider's going well, Dancing Harry.
Favourite Moon is not, the market doesn't love Favourite Moon. Well, he's come back in now. Who's going to win this, Ollie?
Well, you'd have to say Midra's going very well, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Midra going nicely, just clinging on to the lead is Aldebaran. Arthurian Fable is going okay, but still in fifth, and the Moon is rising. Favourite Moon is coming down this side, but Midra, hasn't really moved, Holly Doyle. There's 4 and there's pretty much 5 in a line. Aldebaran cannot win. Favourite Moon is 1.13. Andrea Atzani moves through. Midra is second. This looks like could be a 1-2 for William Haggis, but the outside Dancing Harry is staying on well. But Favourite Moon back to Haydock and back to winning ways. Grabs the rail with half a furlong to go and he's looking round. This is 9, 10, 11 lengths clear. Wow. Absolutely obliterates them. Loves Haydock, doesn't love York. Favourite Moon wins. Midra second, 1-2 for Willie Haggis.
Absolutely
incredible.
Fascinating race to watch that, wasn't it?
Yeah, amazing.
Because you wouldn't have been happy at any stage until he hit the front, would you?
Well, I said out at the back, I'd be very happy with where he was.
You get that in A. But then you totally jumped ship, Ollie Cole. Let me tell you that one. Ollie, how's it going so far?
Loving it. I'm really enjoying it. I just need to get an edge on you guys to try and work it out. But we will get one.
No, we're dovetailing well. We're like a golf thing. We're letting you two, birdie these early holes, and then me and Ollie are going to come through. So we won more money for the charity there. Well done, chaps. 60 more quid.
Lovely.
You can definitely build a stable now.
Do you think so? Well, yeah, who knows? Listen, let's just concentrate on the horse before we go to Neil. He was supposed to do that at York, wasn't he? Do you know what? I was at the Ebor meeting last year, and you go up there thinking, it's always this thing, isn't it? William Haggis is the proud Yorkshireman, and he targets his horses at the Ebor meeting. It was a horrible meeting for William last year. In fact, I don't think he had a winner. And it's hard to... I mean, I was watching from afar, but I don't think he had the greatest meeting again, did he? And yet, here's what you do. You forgive a horse. It's first time tongue tie on. This is a proper couple or something, isn't it?
I don't know where he goes from here, to be perfectly honest. But, I mean, I'd love to know what price he touched in running, Neil, because turning in, he didn't look in great shape, did he?
No, he hit 9.2 in running, which I think is probably fair. But it was a very funny race, wasn't it? Because at certain times, I mean, like you called it out in commentary, and so did you, Dave, when you were jumping in. It's like when they're going down the back straight, he was sort of fine. Then when they turned out the back straight, he didn't look great, but then he came back on. And then when they turned into the home straight, he looked in trouble. But the market never let him sort of get away from them. Like, I know 9.2 is a big price relative to his SP of 3.3, but it's not like he went out massively. It was like the market always wanted to have him on side, really. Arthurian Fable hit even money in the run.
That was disappointing.
And Midra 2.2, so roughly the same.
He ran really badly, didn't he, Arthur? And I said that 1 or 2 might beat him. I think 4 have beaten him. That was really
That was his 6th run of the season, Ollie, and he's come from, bumped into Cold Train in the Melrose and probably paid, you think, for probably trying to chase. He was the only one that went with him, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think, as I said before, I know I'd sort of jumped ship. I did think the front runners were a bit keen to start with.
Yeah, well, Aldebaran actually, if you were with him, you're thinking, what on earth went there? Should William have kept going a little bit? I don't know. It was always going to be a cat and mouse affair, but I think there's no doubt we've seen a good horse. And don't give up on Midra. Lots of opportunities.
Definitely not. No, that was a lovely run. That
Cruz didn't quite get home, obviously, in that ground up from mile 4. But back at mile 4, there's a listed race in her for sure.
Having said that, Dave, I mean, what was that winning distance? Probably 10 lengths. I should think it was 10 in the end, wasn't it? It was
impressive.
It was.
We'll get the distance for you.
It wasn't quite dial of distance, but that was nice, wasn't it? And the charity, we're flying along
race
horses. It's going beautifully. Well done, Ollie Cole, for putting that one out there. Okay, so look, we're around about what? Quarter of an hour away from the Queen of the Turf coming back on Polytrack at Kempton, the 2:35 September Stakes. A good time to draw breath and to tell you that we will be back next week for the St Leger meeting, and on the Sunday as well we'll be covering the Irish Champion action as well. Some great racing in France we'll be having a little look at, keeping our eyes on that as well. It's all warming up, of course, for the big tilts coming up. Is this a horse, Favourite Moon, just quickly, chaps, that you might think about? I don't know, is it beyond the realms to think that he could take in a staying group race this year? I mean, he's won that off 87, so you don't want to get too ahead of yourselves, but you're talking about a mark of 100 already, and a horse that, on and off the bridle, if anything, he looked like he hated Haydock there, despite the fact he's won there already.
Forgetting the last run, you've got to say he's definitely got to be there, isn't he?
What would you be saying to the owner?
Well, I'd just be saying, let's just wait till Tuesday to see what they put him up, and then, if he looks still competitive...
You'd be excited about him as a 4-year-old, wouldn't you?
Wow.
He'd be saying, do you want to buy another couple of horses? Strike when the iron's hot, don't you, in that training?
I'll tell you what, we've got to see the moon, he'd be saying, wouldn't he? Not a favourite one at that. OK, so we will be going to Kempton next, but just to tidy up the result there, it was a 1-2 for William Haggis. Dancing Harry ran quite well there as well, chaps, didn't he?
Ran okay. But I mean, it was all about the winner, wasn't it? It really was. Now, before we talk about Enable, we've got to talk about the big race of the day, of course, the 8:30 at Wolverhampton tonight.
Oh, come on, let's have it. Oh!
Because there's only one runner from the Paul and Ollie Cole stable today, and it's that one tonight. What's the name of it?
Celtic Classic.
I thought he was going to give you the sire.
I know, yeah.
I thought he was going to give you the
We call him the grey horse.
He's playing the game now, OK, Ollie. So 8:30 tonight at Wolverhampton. Shall we be...
Well, he's a funny horse. He's very lazy. It takes a lot of manpower to get him home. We actually schooled him last week, and since we schooled him twice, actually. And since he's been schooling, he's far more on the bridle when we worked him. So, potentially there's a win there, but...
It'd be a price, wouldn't it? Yeah, he's joint top rated on the old RPRs, which is always a positive.
If you're asking me, has he come on? I think he has, because I think the schooling seems to have changed his mind, and I think he goes there tonight in good form.
He's 11-2 from 9-1.
Aye.
He's 11-2 from 9-1. What are you holding back on us, Ollie Cole?
Well, I was told to keep quiet by the owner, PFI Coal Limited.
Yeah, I mean...
Are you going up there?
No.
Aren't you?
No.
Is that a negative?
That would be a stretch. Will you be watching the Kentucky Derby instead tonight?
I'll watch that, 1 minute past midnight. I'm told Tiz Law will win half.
I've got an American friend who hates the fact that we call it the Derby.
Oh, really?
He says, well, it should be Derby. Okay. No, he's lived in London most of his life, but I always say to him, it's Kentucky Derby. He goes, I hate that. He says, I can't stand it, he says. He thinks it should be the Derby all the way. From Kentucky to Kempton, we must go, though, I'm being told. So listen, tonight, Kentucky Derby. Are you a fan of Tiz the Law, one of the greatest horses on the planet? Don't miss out. That he's odds on, but he'll probably win, like we're expecting and able to. Come on then, let's give it some welly. We're going to hoping to see a nice, but we will find you some angles. We should say that, but a nice, beautiful win to tear up for that potential third arc on the first weekend of October. Neil Hubbard, how's she trading?
Even shorter. 1.08 now on the exchange, so that's 12 to 1 on. So she was 5 to 1 on when betting opened, and the money keeps coming for her. So 12 to 1 on now, and then, well, like Foxtel 30s, Prince of Arran 44s, but it's basically a one-horse race here. But yeah, the short price isn't necessarily putting off those who want to back her.
So, from where I'm sitting, you guys are the punters. I mean, who obviously we all think she's going to win, but I mean, who puts a massive amount of money on at that price?
Well, it's tax-free. If you've got money and you want to put it in a bank now, you would probably have to have it in. If you put 10 grand in the bank now, I think you'd make 50 quid in a year with the interest rates and stuff, something like that. So you could put 10 grand on now and make 800 quid. Now, we're certainly not advocating that. Please don't do that. But I'm just saying there are people who've got big betting banks who would just say, well, look, unless she goes lame or something catastrophic happens, she will win. So I may as well get 8% of my return of my cash back.
Yeah. Can you get it on
in 2 minutes? Yeah, well, you can on Betfair. I mean, look at the amount of money there. You can have £70,000 at 1.8 right now. Wow. The liquidity is absolutely huge.
Yeah, and Neil Hubbard, just how much of that liquidity has she taken up?
Yeah, let's just have a quick look. So there's 600. What did we say? So there's about £650,000 now matched on the race in total, and about 640 of it is solely centred around Enable. I think the point as well, like to Bruce and like what you're saying, like 8% interest and all this sort of stuff. There will be, like, if you look at her in the King George, she went off 4 to 9 in the King George. She opened for this at 5s on. Obviously, 5s on is shorter than 4 to 9, but relative to the opposition, you would probably think, there's lots of people out there who had the view that at 5s on, that's still a value bet. It doesn't matter that it's odds on or odds against. You can still have value at any price. And if you've price enabled up and you think that she should be, I don't know, like 10 to 1 on and she's 5 to 1 on, then for those people, that's still a value bet and people still want to get involved at that price. She's getting even shorter. She's 1.07 now, so 14 to 1 on.
Listen, there would have been lots of premium customers out there on Betfair, no doubt, who were licking their lips, of course, at the 5 to 1 on yesterday. But we will find some other angles. There are without markets. We're going to get there in a bit. But let's have a look at another social media comment that's coming in onto the screen. Daniel Mann, good to have you back, Daniel. Prince of Arran to finish second, 2 to 1. I'm assuming that's in the without the market. There was a great tweet, Bruce, wasn't there? Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, Charlie Fellows said when Enable was ruled out of York, and they didn't even mention the September stakes at that point. He was the first off the blocks, usually, as he is, Charlie. He said, damn. Or he actually said something worse than that, I think. And there was me thinking that Prince of Arran was going to win the September stakes.
Sadly not. But, I mean, doesn't he need to get placed to get a run in Melbourne? Is that the
top 3
deal here? Top 3.
Top 3.
Okay, so he should be good for that. But we should actually look at the without favourite market now. Yes. Because this is where you might get some betting value. So if we click on that, hang on a sec. I mean, you can see it's quite competitive. There's only 5 runners now, obviously, isn't there? Because Tin and Darley came out of that. Yeah. And I'm surprised, actually, looking at this market, that Prince of Arran's not favourite.
So am I. Very much so. He's a course and distance winner. In fact, he loves Kempton. And this is his race, isn't it? I mean, this is his race.
I mean, Foxtel's form last year is decent, but this year's fallen apart. I mean, I just think. I think the thing is they'll let Enable do her own thing, don't you, Ollie? They'll all just ride for second and third. Yeah, I think they will. And I think Prince of Arran's easily better than the rest of these.
But with that competitive side, you've got Prince of Arran and definitely Almania, the ex-Stout horse, who's now gone to David Simcock, for these Australian owners who had a really big morning. Actually, I was watching Randwick earlier on. They got great success over there, and it's all about one race when they buy these horses. Almania will be going down under, and he's a sort of horse that could do very, very well in the turf races down there. Jamie Spencer, Tin and Darley was jocked in the same colours, now the non-runner. But Spencer had already played his hand. This horse, I actually like him in the without market. I'm surprised, though, like you say, that Prince of Arran isn't favourite.
Yeah, I think Prince of Arran's value. Who do you like without to finish second, Noel?
Well, I go with you, definitely Prince of Arran, definitely. Okay. Yeah,
the one thing you perhaps might worry about with him, if you remember going back to the Solario Stakes, when he was third at Newcastle. Do you remember we covered that race? It was a real stop-starting race, wasn't it? A tactical affair wouldn't be for him. There is no pace on paper apart from
he can inject it, so he can create it himself. And don't forget, early on in his career, he was a Kempton specialist.
Oh, he loved it, Blaze.
He was great.
He won by half the track one day. Do you remember? Absolutely. Foxtel is one of those horrible horses for me. He's been a cliff horse, and I've jumped way off.
And he pulls like mad.
He does.
And in small fields, that's almost, if you're going to pull, you're going to pull in a small field. So, Neil, are you happy for us to go with Prince of Arran for the charity without the Fav?
Yeah, I was between Prince of Arran or Almania, but it was on the assumption that Prince of Arran would be clear favourite here, and he's not.
Neil.
So I do think that angle you say of him needing, I know he can finish like third and he'll still tick that box of the Melbourne Cup, but I think him having that incentive to actually finish as close as possible is a real bonus here. So yeah, very happy to row in behind Prince of Arran.
But equally, you two have picked the last two winners, and if you both fancy Almania without as well, we can have two bets here, can't we? There's nothing stopping us.
Absolutely.
Okay, right. So how much are we having on Prince of Arran then, Neil?
Well, we could Dutch it between the two of them if we wanted.
Okay.
If you wanted to add Prince of Arran and then Almania, if you add Almania to your bet slip as well.
All right.
Yeah, and then click that stake box just above there, and then put in £50 maybe into there.
Oh, I see. So that gives you 25 on each, does it?
And then it would just split it across, so we win the same amount regardless.
Ah, that's a new feature. I didn't realise that existed. That's clever.
Yeah,
That's got you excited.
It's not a new feature. It's just new to a dinosaur like me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Saves
brilliant.
you having to work it out yourself. It will do it for you.
The only thing is we're still unmatched on Almania. So how do we get back up to doing that? Oh, here we go. Shall I chase this? Because we're trying to get on at 8.2. So I'm going to come down to 7.6. You happy with that?
Fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good. Right, we're in.
She is down at the start, guys. And Ollie, I want to come here. You can see her on the screen. Obviously, the sun's shining down there at Kempton, but she does look absolutely knockout, doesn't she?
She's an absolute beast, isn't she? Wow, she's so
Quick
strong.
word from a trainer's perspective of John Gosden. Of course, the all-conquering John Gosden. But to keep this 6-year-old as consistent as she has been.
He's a mighty handler, isn't he? Wow, he's done so well.
What's the real trick there? If you're coming back this season, not just with COVID, of course, this season and the pandemic, which would have knocked plans awry a little bit as well. Yes, okay, they swerved a match with Love. They're saving that for France at York. What is the trick with an older horse to get them back? Because she's not been without injury, has she?
Well, I always think the trick is with any good horse, or something you're not in a rush with, like a handicapper where the races spring upon you and there won't be another race for 5 weeks afterwards or something. I reckon everything's time. Like 3 weeks, for example. I know Wesley Ward gives them 3 weeks break. When I was down with Jean-Claude Rouget, he gave every horse 3 weeks break in between runs, but they're not really handicaps there. They're sort of all different kind of condition races. But I reckon it's time and letting the horse sort of get back to her or himself, and then running again.
And the difference is this year she's just taken a keen grip going down. That's good to see. It was a troubled campaign last year, wasn't it? And some people think that and the ground cost her, of course. They have been able to just take their time like they did in 2008 and 18. All right, she was getting weight from Crystal Ocean, but she absolutely beat him silly that day. This is the perfect prep. And we'll talk about the arc after this, of course.
I'm really keen on this other market that I've seen on Betfair. And it's called How Far Enable. So if we can go back to that, this is betting on the distance, and this is really interesting. So there's 4 options here. Up to so she's got to win for the top 3 to happen. Up to and including 2 3/4 lengths. Between 3 lengths and 4 3/4. To win by 5 lengths or more, or not to win. Okay, so if you can see on the screen there, she's odds against to win by 5 lengths or more. I've got her winning this half the track. I can easily see her winning this by 5 lengths. Now I know that. Obviously, Frankie's not going to be, pushing out Ryan Moore on Mum's tipple to win by as far as possible. But I mean, I'd say that 5 lengths against this lot, she'd have them for breakfast.
Well, you're the distance expert. We should say that. It's something that you do a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
your distance better.
I'm very keen. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm an expert, but I just think she's different gear here. I mean, I can't, and particularly if they're riding for second, which I think a lot of them will be.
I think 5 lengths is well, certainly on form. She ought to be winning by more than that.
Well, if she wins by less than 5 lengths, you'd actually start questioning the validity of the run. Such is her form book superiority here. That's my view. And look, if it's a hard-held 4 lengths, then fine. But I think odds against 5 lengths or more is fine. What do you reckon, Ollie?
I reckon she'll win as far as you want.
Yeah. It would be lovely to see a flying dismount as well. This is the sad thing about this, which we'll talk about after the race. This will be her last run in Britain, we're thinking, Bruce. No crowd.
Yeah.
So...
And we work in the media or we work in the racing industry. We forget how much the public loves Enable. My friend Jack, who lives over the road from me, he's got Enable pictures all over the wall.
Really?
He absolutely loves her. He's devastated he can't go to Paris to see her. He's been every year. He's devastated he can't be at Kempton. You know, you forget how much the public adore her and top horses like her. And the fact they can't go and say goodbye really is sad. Now, I'm hoping that what will happen is that when we get crowds back, she might do the odd parade or the odd race day appearance. It'd be lovely to think that, for instance, at Royal Ascot next year, they might bring some of these great horses back down the straight so everyone can just give them a bit of a round of applause.
Horses that haven't had the sign off. I love that. It's fantastic. Were you at York last year when she ran, Ollie? I was there at the E-Ball meeting. Were you there, Bruce, at the E-Ball meeting last year? The reason why I signal out at the E-Ball meeting, we know, like Goodwood, not maybe Ascot, but certainly it's the race goers track, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you could not get near the parade ring. You couldn't get near it.
No, she is absolutely loved. Is there something being re-shod there? I don't see the farrier
Almania,
busy
isn't it?
down there.
Jamie Spencer's hopped off him at the minute. So
ironically, with a horseshoe on the back of his silks as well, and having to have his. Is that the near? No, that's the off four being re-shod, isn't it? I'm learning.
Thank God.
I'm no box in the back garden.
You're finally learning.
But it's like what we were alluding to before when I was last on. Enable has been so built up, and quite rightly so. It's like the jumpers. We get to know the jumpers. But a lot of these flat horses, they're in and out within 2 years, so it's sort of people don't really grasp the imagination.
The tash, etc.
Four seasons of a top flat horse, you don't normally get that.
Very, very well. We have been spoilt on that front, absolutely, and we know you're loving it out there. Do let us know how have you played on this race? Are you just sitting back and watching with your fingers on the buzzers for the Arc? Will she beat Love in the Arc? Keep that coming in. There's rumours that Love won't love this type of testing watered Longchamp ground that she might get in the first weekend of October. She's a pretty short price, isn't she? I don't know. Enable's been there and done it. Perfect campaign. I'm coming round to her for the Art. Let us know where you're going. Hashtag Racing Post Live. That's how you can get involved. Facebook Live or indeed YouTube as well. Welcome to the party. We're going on. We've got the race of the day coming on. We've got a social coming in just while we wait for Almania to be reshod. One of the horses we think will go well in the without market. Dave Winder. Dave, good to have you on board. Frankie will be looking to do the bare minimum regards winning distance. He thinks he will be holding on to a Bruce.
I'm not sure about that because I actually think that's when if you don't let them bowl along, I think that's when you can, there's two bits there. You disappoint them and you can just suddenly find yourself misjudging it and then suddenly having to really go for it again. I'm just not sure about that.
I think they'll keep it all straightforward. They'll let her get in a rhythm and then they'll just push to the end. Personally.
Pushing out as a jockey is absolutely paramount, isn't it?
But I suppose there's pushing out and there's really pushing out. I think he'll just probably coax her to...
In the paper today, David Milnes, our Newmarket correspondent, did a lovely piece. Did you read that, Bruce? He's basically said this will probably be her last proper gallop, on the long gallop there. And he said you could hear a pin drop as she went, and apparently she was absolutely sparkling as well. Oh, wow. But it doesn't quite give you the same report, does it? The same feeling under the chassis, Ollie, as when they're actually on the track against other horses.
No, it certainly doesn't. I mean, they can be brilliant at home, and then just watching them at the racecourse is something totally more magical.
Just very quickly, because we've got a short delay, can we just expand on that point, Ollie? I've spoken to trainers in the past and people associated with yards, and they'll say, look, you've got to back this thing, it's absolutely flying. Or they'll say, well, go easy because he's just not showing anything. How much can Gallop's form, how different can Gallop's form be to racecourse form? Can they make a real monkey of you in terms of you think, well, this is an absolute certainty, and then they just go out and completely flop? Or do you have a pretty good idea that if a horse is really working well, it will translate to the racecourse?
Well, funny you should say that. I mean, we've got an instance at home where one lad really likes one horse, and he likes another horse, but the other horse has done it on the track, and the other one hasn't done it. So, for me, they have to do it on the racetrack. But when it comes to 2-year-olds, for example, I think you can get a bit of a lead on that if one 2-year-old's working better than the other. But that's how I would look at it, really.
And we spoke to you, of course, recently in the studio, and we said, has Celtic Art been up against Highland Chief on the gallops? You said you don't work them together. And I don't know about you, Bruce. Me and Kills were in with Ollie that day, and we were like, hang on a minute, you don't work your horses together. I've never really believed that. But they don't seemingly work, for example, Denman and Corto Star or whatever.
Well, I've seen Denman and Corto work together, but they'll all come up that uphill gallop at ditchy. I remember being
That's
there.
4 furlongs, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly, yeah. But the actual speed work where you're trying to gauge how ready they are, I
Time
guess
trials,
it's possible.
For example, Medieval, that's rated 70-something, leads Highland Chief.
Right.
Was he one of the most frustrating horses you've trained in recent years, Medieval? He's certainly one of the most frustrating to follow.
I think he was third in the Coventry, wasn't he? And
we all thought he was going to win. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's one of those with the back class.
And we got another horse called Rotherwick that you probably know. He hasn't won for quite a few years, but
he's in your colours now. That's how well it's gone.
He went with Highland Chief to Kempton and worked with him around there.
He used to be in the Tree Putra colours, didn't he?
The Sultan Akbar, Berkshire's colours.
Yes,
so these horses, they know our home gallops and they know the fractions and they know how they're going to get home.
Berkshire, how is Berkshire?
Berkshire was the most disappointing horse I think I've ever seen in my life.
He looked so good. Was it the Cheshire?
Oh, it was the Cheshire, wasn't it? Yeah.
I've never seen a horse.
Who rode in that?
Like
Was it Jim Crowley that rode?
Yeah, Jim Crowley. Yeah, I've never seen a horse work like him, and he was so disappointing.
Yeah. But he did come out and win some races later on.
He won the Royal Lodge.
Yeah,
and then then he ran against Kingman in the
2,000 guineas.
No, the race at Newbury.
Did he? Hard to remember now because we didn't have it this year. The Greenham, thank you.
The Greenham.
Yeah.
And he had an enterolith, which is an entrapment in his intestine, and we had to operate. And
the interesting news from down at the start here is the farrier looks just like Eddie the Shoe, Eddie Fremantle, that great tipster, with a little bit of Timothy Spall thrown in.
Do you think they needed to get someone there quickly? Because Eddie doesn't, he's got a stride on him, let me tell you.
He certainly has. But anyway, we're ready now. The horse is properly shod and they're about to go into the stalls. That must be an anxious wait, that, Ollie, mustn't it, for Gosden? We saw a shot of him there. I know that, he's rational enough to know that this is a penalty kick, but presumably, however confident you are, as a trainer, you must be really nervous before every race.
Yeah, I think you are. I think the last thing... Well, luckily nothing was in the stalls. Well, obviously they're reshoeing, but there's nothing worse than a wait in the stalls. And I suppose Jamie Spencer, on the other hand, was probably quite relieved to get on his feet for a couple of seconds so he can take a breather.
How much has been matched, Neil? Let's go to the market. Neil Hubbard waiting quietly in the wings.
Yeah, so we're over £2 million now has been wages on the market overall, traded on the market. And of that 2 million, 1.9 is on Enable, both for and against her. So, she's taken up, 99% of the book there. Just interestingly on Bruce's distance sort of bet, she beat Crystal Ocean 3.5 lengths in this. So
if she's beat Crystal Ocean 3.5, she'll beat these by 5. Blimey.
Giving weight, as we know.
And actually, the 5 lengths or more is odds on now. So
do you think
upwards of £15 in hand, didn't she? So.
Do you think some of the fillies are looking for black type?
Punting certainly is. Kirsten Bosch as well.
Yeah, Kirsten Bosch just playing up a little bit at the start, and Enable as a consequence has just been taken away just so that she doesn't get put off by any of that one's antics. The other 4 are already in, so we're just waiting for Enable to load. 1.08 at the start. Foxtail 34 and Prince of Arran 38. It's not often you see a second favourite priced at 34 on the Betfair Exchange. The 6 runners are in then for the Unibet September Stakes. It's over 1.5 miles. The hood comes off the re-shod Almania and they are out, and Frankie has dropped Enable out to the back. Has that done anything for the market, Neil?
No, not really. I mean, she's coming through a little bit now, but 1.07, 1.06, so as short as what you'd expect, really.
This is a nightmare for Foxtail backers in the without market because Enable was a little bit slowly away. Don't know whether she was squeezed, but now she's made her way to the front. Finally, they're all saying, where is she? Foxtail, a keen horse. He's absolutely putting like stink. Bruce Millington.
And no messing here. Frankie just said, look, if you boys are all going to sit and wait, I will go on and make the running. So it's a triangle at Kempton, and they are going down the far side of the triangle. And Enable is bowling along in the front, being chased by Kirsten Bosch. Frankie in perfect position. Prince of Arran is settled in 3rd. Foxtail has finally settled in 4th. And then in 5th, we have Almania. And punting from the Richard Hughes yard right at the back. Ollie, have you seen anything, or is this all going perfectly to plan?
Well, it's quite interesting that Kirsten Bosch whether the jockey, whether it's his decision is following Enable, and the other guys are sort of 2 lengths further back.
It's James Doyle on. She's fully £30 inferior, according to the handicapper, over Enable. But at the moment, it is a bit of a 2-horse race. I would be happy with Prince of Arran at the moment. I think he's perfectly poised under Stevie Donahue. Friend of the show, Stevie. Come on, ride it home for second, my friend.
But also, Dave, do you think Foxtel, although we know he never settles, he's kind of all right now. He's actually settled slightly earlier as we go down.
A horrible look around him, isn't he? Wow, look at his head.
He's looking to the outside, isn't he? So, as they go
James
down
Doyle's
the second side piece of the triangle here, Enable is going perfectly well in front on 1.07. Kirsten Bosch is following, and then 3 lengths away. Foxtel just comes up round the outside of Prince and Aaron to take third place. In fifth, we've got Almania, and still out the back is Punting.
He's going all right, Almania, you know. I'll be happy for the second place on that.
Frankie going perfectly well on Enable. There's 2 furlongs to go. She's been kept up to her work. She's 2 lengths in front. Kirsten Bosch is clinging on to second.
Come on the distance.
Prince of Aaron. Can Prince of Aaron get second? I
Go on,
don't think
Aaron.
it's going to, is it? But Enable now,
Come
if you're
on,
on the
Aaron, he will.
distance,
He'll get there.
Frankie is
Come
letting
on.
Enable go. And
Come on,
whoosh,
there's the
the
distance.
aeroplane is flying
Come
down
on,
the
Aaron.
runway. And
Come
can
on,
Prince
Stevie,
of Aaron
get him
get
up.
second? Come on,
Come on,
Stevie.
Aaron.
Come on, Enable's got the
Stevie, on the
distance.
wire.
Can you get the
He's
second?
not going to get there.
Enable wins by half the track.
Oh.
Kirsten Bosch just holds on for second.
James
Goodness me.
Doyle's been very bright there.
In what sense?
Towards just going up with Enable and not letting it get too far ahead.
Yes, he has. And
He really has.
Yeah.
And he's done very well for Luca Kamani. He's going to get richer because he owns it and he'll be second. And
Does he need the money?
well, probably not.
He'd be all right, wouldn't he? Well, that was excellent by Enable. I mean, what she won by 8 lengths.
Yeah, and good shout, Bruce. It was. He actually didn't have to get hard with her at all. Well, did you enjoy it out there, you money buyers? Did you get Kirsten Bosch to come in the without market? Let us know. Hashtag Racing Post Live. It's just one of those Prince of Aaron where he's just missed out on the bomb. I'm looking for the difference between prize money. It's half. It's 12,000 down to 6. You know, you wouldn't blame Stevie at all because he's obviously found this an inadequate test, hasn't he?
But also, their mission today was to get the invite to get third place, wasn't it? There wasn't anything in it, was
Did
there?
Kirsten Bosch get backed in running?
I don't know. Let's have a look, Neil. What was the story from in running? I should think it was all fairly sedate, wasn't it?
Yeah, all pretty calm, really. Kirsten Bosch hit a low of 40, but the starting price was around 60, so a little bit shorter, but not really.
If a horse gets done at a low of 40, you know it's not the most explosive race of horses.
A high of 12, though, in the without market, without Enable, so that was a bit of a price there.
What was she trading at before, Neil, in that? Remind me, in the without market.
Sorry, Dave, what was that? Sorry?
What was Kirsten Bosch in the without market?
Yeah, she was matched at a high of 12 there, but generally around the sort of 5-6 to 1 mark.
Yeah.
But was as big as 12. But in terms of the arc and what this means, as you'd probably imagine, not a lot's changed. So Enable unchanged at 11 to 4, and Love still 7 to 4 market leader.
Loads to decipher out of that, but we've got to go up for the Old Borough Cup up at Haydock. We had the delay there, of course, with Almania getting shod. We were able to chew the fat, weren't we, in the studio? We know you love it out there when you hear us just chatting casually as well. So let us know, what do you make of what we were saying beforehand? Do you think Enable should indeed come back next year and have a little lap of honour for all you fans? You're coming back at St Leger next week. So listen, we're getting back to normal, please, Lord. So next year, Enable will come back and give you a little sign-off. Is that a good idea? I think it is. But at the moment, we've got to go up to the Old Borough Cup. This is one of the races of the day. One of the betting races on the flat of the entire season. Neil Hubbard, who's just about favourite now?
Yeah, Rhythmic Intent and Future Investment are sort of dueling for favouritism at the minute. So 6.8 Rhythmic Intent, 6.4 Future Investment, then Rajinsky 7.6, Cape Coast 10.5, the Hurdler Brandon Castle 17.5, and sort of those prices or bigger the rest.
Neil, let's just quickly get through the tips then. Where are you going? Because people like to react to what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm going to side at a big price, a former winner of this in 2018, Rashun. He's on a career high mark, but he's been in pretty decent form this season. And I think this type of test, I want to be siding with horses who have sort of been there and done it. He's proven on soft ground or worse. He's proven over the distance, and he's proven over the combination of trip and distance. So he's a big price, but and whilst there might be more progressive sorts in it, I think you can hang your hat on the fact that he's going to run a decent enough race. So I'm going to back Rashun, win and place.
Come on, get on with it, Neil. They're nearly going in.
How much do you want on, Neil?
Yeah, so we'll go for £20 win, Rashun down at 26 there, Bruce.
Okay.
We'll have £20 there, and then in the 5 places market, I think there you're looking at, we'll have £30 on him to place.
The 2018 winner, Ian Williams, trainer, going for a hat-trick in the race. Bruce Millington, unbelievably, they're nearly all in. I like Rajinski, Ollie Cole.
Future investment.
Future investment, they've got form against each other. Bruce Millington, where did your pin drop?
Future investment for me. Never mind pen. I studied this all night. Future
It's
investment.
a Rafe Beckett horse, I can tell you that was a pin. That was an absolute pin. He's counting trainers. OK, they're off then. Any minute now for the Old Borough Cup. Good luck wherever you're playing. Bruce.
This could be a slightly harder one to call because not only are there about 28 runners rather than 6, but I haven't learnt any of the colours. So bear with me. As they kick on, it looks like Cape Coast for Braveheart has gone on early doors from Brandon Castle, who had that recent run over hurdles. Glencadam Glory, who was that brilliant tip in the Ebor for Neil, almost got the job done. That's up there really early. Indianapolis is going well. Also prominent is the 16, which is Finiston Farm. Any early market moves, Neil?
Future investment into 4-1 favourite, so he's clear now at the head of affairs. Rhythmic Intent a little bit weak, but yeah, future investment very solid as market leader.
And that's him in 7th on the rail. Is that where you want to be there, Ollie, do you think?
Yeah, I think he's got a lovely position.
Happy with that?
Very happy.
Dave, who did you go with in the end?
Rajinski. I'm sort of jumping on the Keeley bandwagon here. Paul Keeley's been banging this one all season long. He hasn't managed to get over the line. At York last time, he looked sure to win. I'm not surprised that they're holding on to him a bit longer. I think he's going to go close. Happy with him at the back.
OK, so Glencadam Glory is got involved in a real frantic duel down the back with Brandon Castle. Holly Doyle desperate to get to the front. And they've really stretched the field out now. Cape Coast is matching strides with, I think it might be Dilatation in 3rd. Future investment, King Rafe got a lovely position in 5th now, just ahead of the other one in light blue, which is Indianapolis. And then we've got Calling the Wind going well. But future investment still very much favourite at 4.7. Brandon Castle taking the lead, but the market thinks that one's done a little bit too much too soon because that one is out to 20. On the outside, we've seen the Marwan Kukash colours of Rashun, who's prominent but about a zillion wide.
Horrid.
That's not ideal. Just in time, Fallon King's going fairly well. And also coming into it for Rog is Australis.
Yeah.
The race is about to unfold. Dave, what have you spotted?
He's been a bit keen, Australis, but he's definitely made that mid-race move. I'll tell you what, the back markers are going to want to get on with this now. I was looking out there as well. Yukon Glen, a horse that knows all about these big handicaps. He's going to get going. Here's where Rajinski starts to wind it up. So in front at the moment, it's taken off this with Ollie Doyle, Brandon Castle, but it's a front runner over jumps. And once again, Bruce, they're peeling over to the stand side.
They are indeed. 4 furlongs to go. And Brandon Castle sets the pace from Glencadam Glory going well. On the inside, we've got Dilation. Coming there has been prominent throughout is Cape Coast. And now making a move up the inside is Stargazer as well. Yeah, future investment's going really, really nicely. Dark Jedi coming up on the outside in the white and red. That's got half a chance. Where's the old Yukon? I've had a few quid on him.
He's cruising.
He is going well, isn't he? Go on.
Come on,
he's
Rajinski,
miles,
get a
but he's too
run.
far back. Here comes Just in Time. Here comes Dark.
This is horrible
Here
to
comes
watch.
Future Investment. Gold Coast is up
Here
there.
comes
Future
Yukon.
Investment. Yukon's never going to get there.
He's
got
going
too
to
much
get there,
to do.
Bruce. I'm telling you, he's
Just
going
in
to get
Time
there.
takes it up.
He's
Here
getting
comes
there.
the Yukon Glen.
Come on,
Just
the
in
Yukon.
time. Yukon Glen in 3rd is Future Investment.
He's got it.
Yukon
Come on.
Glen, can he do it?
Yes.
Yukon Glen, just in time. It's
Aye,
Yukon Glen who's winning. It's such a lovely horse and he's won this and he deserves it. He's an absolute cracker.
Wow.
You've got to love Yukon Glen. That was absolutely brilliant. It was a Glen Doddle.
It's a Glen Doddle. And you can tip. You got it absolutely spot on. I'll tell you what, where did that come from in the run? Why did you like him, Bruce? Just quickly,
Well,
7-year-old.
I just love the horse. He had all last year off. He's come back. He ran really well. He was 5th in the Ebor.
Yeah.
And you know the handicap's not been hard on him. I love the horse. He's versatile. He's just got a big heart. He's one of those horses that a lot of people out there love. And fair play to you. You called him from miles out. I thought he was too far back.
It was a Summergand moment, wasn't it? It was. We just swear it. He said he's coming. Ollie,
I've never seen Bruce's phone needs to recover. He was going like this.
the button was being pressed.
Yeah.
One thing you said just before we tidy up the result for you, well done if you weighed on the old timer as
Wow.
well. As I said to you in the run, loads of old handicap form. I think he's the only one to get involved from off the pace as well because they definitely slowed it up and then went. If you watch back Rajinski, that was a horrid run. They totally changed the tactics on him. He got no run whatsoever, finished on the bridle. don't give up on that one, Keels, if you're watching. But you can, Glenn, if you went for it, fair play. You know what you said beforehand? I haven't learnt the colours. Did you read the piece in the paper this week on the website?
About the secret.
With Hunty and Hoyles.
Yeah,
and they said, all of them said, I just don't go with the colours anymore. Hunty said, I've not got that long-term memory. I just forget about them after the race and learn it before. And then Hoyles, he said, if I've got 5 hand-hands, I'll get them all wrong.
I'm sure they spent longer than the 5 seconds I looked.
You shouldn't have counted all the trainers last night, I'm telling you.
Oh, my goodness. No, you're absolutely right. Honestly, that was... Anyway, great by you, King. He's a lovely old boy. He's a real credit to Jim Goldie, who knows what he's doing. Paul Mulrennan gave that a peach of a ride, didn't he?
Yes, he absolutely did. And again, some of the also-rans in that. Rashun, Neil, let's go to you. Bit too keen early. Ian Williams' hat-trick came unstuck. Was there any love for anything else? I mean, he must have gone pretty big in the run, you can surely.
Yeah, he hit 27, Glenn. So Gaines, and I know Bruce and I were quite, it was the two Glens at the Ebor, wasn't it? I was a Glencallum Glory and you were Glen. And so he definitely got his reward there. So yeah, matched at high of 27. Dark Jedi a low of 1.34. Cape Coast a low of even money. And that was pretty much it, I suppose. But yeah, 27 was the high there. Rashun he was drawn wide, but he was just stuck wide throughout. So he was about 6 wide going around the bend, and you can't really get away with that, can you? So that's probably just one to strike a line through, and we go again. We go again, absolutely. We're ramping up here, aren't we, on RP Live? We're not too far away from the Group 1 of the day at Haydock. That comes up next. The Sprint Cup. Cannot wait for that. We all fancy something strongly in that, be it a lay or a play. Just a word for Jim Goldie, chaps. He sort of has these horses, doesn't he, which look like they've completely lost their form. But they often have big targets and they often pull them off.
He just keeps them going, doesn't he? Like for durability, you think Hawkeye and all those lovely old horses.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye the New.
Hawkeye the New. That was one of the best ones, wasn't it? Absolutely. Yeah, listen, so Jim Goldie's had his big day in the sun. Quite right as well. And
top man too. Top man.
He seems it. He seems it. A lot of trainers, I know you're all under pressure, aren't you? You're all stressed. But he's one of these ones who comes out and he's nice and calm, isn't he? And he's
time for everyone.
Yeah, kind of and in my 11 years as editor, I judge trainers how many times they rang up to give me a good bollocking, and he never did. So he's got to be a good guy. In actual fact, neither did you. You've always been a complete pleasure to deal with.
Oh, that's very kind.
There's a few down the years, honestly, they've got on the phone. I won't.
What about King Rafe?
King Rafe's. He's had a few moans lately because of all this prize money problem. But we've always been good as gold. King Rafe's good as gold. And that future investment ran well, didn't it?
It did, absolutely. Yeah, it did. And again, you come back to that and you might persevere with that as a stayer as well. I've been furiously typing it for the boys in the gallery, actually. We can hear everything you're doing. They turned the earpieces off. Well done, Bruce, talking through that. I can hear them eating their lunches, all that sort of thing. I can hear them rushing away on Betfair. Unbelievable. Taking the mickey out of us for calling it Hawkeye, all that sort of thing. Yeah, right.
It was Hawkeye, wasn't it?
It was Hawkeye.
It was Hawkeye to me.
It wasn't the New anyway, that's for sure. Have you had any winners in the gallery? That's what we want to know. I doubt it very much, as you've been jumping on. So listen, we've got to go to Ascot, chaps, because the 305's coming up, and about 7 minutes away from that, it's the Lavazza handicap. Now, I thought prize money was going to hit this race, chaps. So I have to say, let's talk about that first and foremost. It's the this is usually a really valuable handicap, isn't it? And it's usually an 80 grand. So it is an 80 grand race, £49,000 to the winner. Not a prize to be sniffed at in this season at all, is it?
And also, what else are you going to do? No one likes the reduction in prize money, but it's different if you're Gaiath and Gaiath's connections and we don't particularly like the Champion Stakes prize money, but they've got options. If you've got a horse that is due to run here, you run here, don't you? Because also a lot of these are progressive. They're going to be looking to go on to bigger and better things anyway, so then they're not going to be too fussed. If they win this and the winner takes home 49 grand, they're going to this really delighted.
It was 62 grand to the winner last year, so
it's not
hats
the end
off
of the world.
To Ascot.
Look, these are difficult times. From this month, the prize money is getting back up towards what it was.
I was listening to Nick Luck's podcast on the way up, and he was interviewing John Dance. Yeah, and John Dance obviously pulling a lot. He sort of wants sort of 10 or so horses altogether. He's going to sell a load, but he was saying, Nick Luck was sort of edging to the point that was it the prize money, and he said no, it wasn't really the prize money because a lot of really, really rich people that own horses can afford it. He said it's he was alluding to the fact that the handicap system was annoying him so much.
Oh, really? Wow. I must admit, that's an interesting one.
It's a strange angle, but
it is because don't the connections of every horse think that the handicapper hates them? And,
but I think he alluded to one point. There's certain owners in sort of certain famous colours that sort of get handicapped.
Who? You can say it on this
platform. you know the big powerful owners, maybe the sort of the hand
bright
down.
Blue ones, bright yellow ones.
Bright blue ones. Well,
all your patrons then.
Yeah, obviously. But you know, these horses, they come into a handicap of sort of 0 to 80 and they're winning by half the field. Yeah. It's a very difficult one to...
Right, okay, because that's interesting, because I saw Paul Nicholls in March just talk about John Dance, and he just had lunch with him. And he's got bumper horses with him, he's looking to invest more over the jumps. And before, the COVID, we knew the impact was going to hit. It looked like John was going to be a big player in the jumps game as well.
He's got 50-something horses.
Yeah, and he breeds a lot, doesn't he, as well? So because it was
and
UK
sponsors as well. He's top man.
But Futurity, which we will be covering here for you at Doncaster in October on RP Live. Let's go to the market then for the Lavazza handicap, 4-1 the field or ish. Loads of people giving another horse a chance here. Ollie Cole being one of them. Tell us the price of Kips first and foremost. Neil Hubbard.
Yeah, heads to market, 5.7. My Frankel next in, well, no, actually, at Shandars, 5.2, actually. The market needs reordering there. My Frankel, 6.2. Grand Bazaar, 8.6, the same as Alcacar, and then double figures the rest. But yeah, Kips, second favourite now behind Shandars.
And Neil Hubbard, take the floor.
Yeah, it's another one for this we need to forgive a bad run angle, but I'm really quite taken by this Alcacar. I thought he was super impressive at Newmarket on his penultimate start, and then he was backed off the boards for a Glorious Goodwood handicap, but just ran no race at all. There was a bit of a mid-race move, and he used up a load of energy there, and he just sort of petered out a little bit. But he was so impressive at Newmarket last time. On his penultimate start that I'm quite happy to forgive the Newmarket run and get involved here. But I do think that this is a really good handicap and definitely a race to follow moving forward.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Right, should we back him then? Alcacar, how much are we going to have on, Neil?
Yeah, so I do think this is a pretty good race. So let's think about how we want to do this in terms of win and place. I want to back him win and place, so it's just a matter of divvying up the stakes. So we'll probably go a bit like with Rashun. So we'll probably go £20 win at 8.4 and then £30 on the place. So we'll weight it a little bit more in favour of the place market here.
And we're normal place. We're just going to go three places, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
That's fine.
30, right. That's done for you, sir.
Perfect. Thank you ever
so
much.
They used to say in the betting, in the telly betting days. Actually, no, Alcacar's gone a bit short. I'll put a keep bet up for that. I'm sure it'll get done.
Okay. Cheap pieces put me off him, Neil.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It stinks.
You don't like that though, do you? You don't like those angles, do you, with the headgear and stuff like that?
I don't know. I wouldn't tar me with that brush. I'm not disparaging about headgear at all. No, sometimes I think horses, really need it. I just think with a horse like this in these connections that and that if he's supposed to be, if he's going to be that good, I don't know. You'd be giving him another chance, wouldn't you? But cheap pieces suggest he might be leaving something at the track.
Well, I'm putting up a horse that's got cheap pieces on the old Kips.
Two ticks for Kips.
I've fallen for him. I really do like the potential in my Frankel. Okay, I think he could come on and win it, but the amount of times I've heard the phrase "typical Michael Stout improver" this summer, it's become a bit of a kind of cliche and a caricature, isn't it? Like everyone thinks that any horse of Stout that is knocking on a bit and hasn't shown much is going to benefit from this Michael Stout. Yeah, I know. There's loads of people say it. They've done that, and he
like
might
the Sea the Moons.
Yeah,
like to see the moons, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, these Frankels aren't bad. Let's talk about Kips then before we go on to my Frankel.
Okay, so Kips basically is a horse who has got a litany of bad luck stories.
For me, he's well named because he just loves them, doesn't he?
Yeah,
loves taking a Kip mid-race.
He does, but I just think with this, some punters hate taking short prices each way. I don't mind it. Round about 4 or 5 to 1, I can do it because I know that I'm going to get my money back if they finish in the first 3. And I've got the lot if they win it. And that's how I see it with Kips. I see him as a dot on the card to be in the first 3. And I think today the cards might fall into place for him. 1.5 miles round Ascot. It's not really a sob story kind of venue. I think he'll get the job done today.
No, I totally agree with that. He will have his moment. He will have his moment to shine or to fluster. But you also mentioned the other Hughie Morrison horse.
Yeah, Raven's Ark. He won on. Sorry.
Blimey, they're almost all in.
Yeah, he won on the all weather, and I think horses that sort of do well on the all weather, the tend is that they normally, I don't know why it is, that run well at Ascot.
I like my Frankel. I think the
Would
top
you agree?
weight is a group
that's what
horse
everyone
at Haydock.
says. Yeah, they're very much so. I mean, all the good judges, Keels, Tom Siegel, they all say there's a really good correlation between All Weather and Ascot.
Absolutely. It's a sand-based track. So much has been made of that, but on the straight it is as well. On the straight, in the last 2 furlongs, we think it's slightly better ground, by the way, than it is on the round course, as usual. My Frankel for me, I just think they could have probably gone into group race with him if they fancied it. Was impressed with him on the all-weather last time as well. Tom Siegel has gone for Kipps as well, reasoning he was badly positioned in the Melrose.
Shandor's his favourite. I mean, I can see it, but I think the price is a little skinny, don't you?
Yeah, one more to go in, Bruce. Yeah, the ground with him and the draw I didn't like, but Roger Varian, it's Roger Varian in the mile 4 races at Ascot, isn't it? Usually wins them.
Here we go. The Lavazza Stakes over a mile and a half. 10 runners. Zabeel Champion is a non-runner, and as they get ready to start slugging it out, the one that's slowest away is Noble Masquerade for Eve Johnson Horton, and Hayley Turner. Also positioned out the back is the favourite Shandos, and cutting out the early running, Alcaca. In second is Grand Bazaar. In third on the inside is A Star Above. Prominent behind those is Cephas, and also Kipps is going well. Kipps is on the outside. He's got no traffic problems today. Should be okay. What do you make of it, Ollie? Who do you want to be on?
Well, the kickback's absolutely terrible, isn't it, around there?
That is like an all-weather track, isn't it?
They won't mind it then, those market leaders.
As you said, I think Kipps is in a brilliant position and had a very smooth run so far.
A couple that aren't, my Frankel, Kieran Fallon, the brilliant Kieran Fallon, young Kieran Fallon, he's finally got him into a place, but that was horribly keen early. Shandos, he's had to take his medicine. David Egan as well on that. I wouldn't be helpful with them. Neil Hubbard, what's the market saying? Because your Alcaca's got a freebie.
Yeah, sort of joint favourites of 3 behind Kipps, My Frankel and Shandars. Alcaca, pretty much the same price as he was, but yeah, a 3-way tie at the top of the market.
Tell you what, guys, Kipps is going to have every chance here, Bruce.
Well, you think so. I mean, there's still a bit of time. With this horse, you never know what might go wrong. But the one that's got himself into a lovely position is young Kieran Fallon on My Frankel, who's moved up onto the outside of the leader and has become favourite as a consequence at 3.8. But they're going down the far side. They've got about 5 furlongs left to travel, I would say. And the leader is Alcaca. And now taking dead aim in second, to give my best Mark Johnson impression, is My Frankel. On the inside, just being scrubbed along now, is A Star Above.
Kipps making a move.
Grand Bazaar's going okay. Kipps is coming up on the outside, going really, really well. Very patient ride on Shandor. Still only got 2 behind. But they're still fairly clustered as they come into the straight. Fewer than 3 furlongs to go now, and My Frankel is coming smoothly on the outside.
Where's Kipps?
Where's Kipps?
Here he is, Bruce.
Here comes El Kipps. Can you do it? His tongue's lolling around. He's alongside Grand Bazaar. Cephas is moving up. The favourites coming there really well. What a ride by this from Shandos and David Egan.
Another one for
Kipps
Rog.
has fallen away. It looks like it's going to be a Rog, doesn't it? Cephas is not going away. Digging in really well under Martin Dyer. It looks like Shandos is going to get there, but really Cephas has really made it hard for him. But it's going to be Shandos at the end. A great acceleration at the top of the straight, and Shandos wins from Cephas and a mile back to Kipps, who just about hang on for third. No hard luck story, and presumably no more followers after that. That is his final chance.
Yeah, fair. Yes, indeed. That cliff is now one to edge back from, guys, isn't it? I think
It'd be quite interesting to watch the replay, because Raven's Ark, she got stopped twice going up the straight.
Yeah, just when you said no hard luck stories, in the corner of my eye, I saw that flashing home. I didn't see it in the run.
You were grimacing audibly.
Let's watch.
Okay,
so we're taking it.
Yeah, she's out the back there. She's out the back there.
Oh, on the inside, in the worst possible position.
Yeah. Well, upside's the winner, actually.
You've got to love the acceleration here from the winner, because he only got 2 behind going into the straight and really, really cruised round them. I mean, that was an awesome performance. So, okay, let's see what's happened to poor old Ollie's hard luck story. Yeah.
Shut the door on the inside. Yeah, we've got an eye catcher. Houston, we have an eye catcher.
And then she gets stopped again.
Just waiting for that. It just looks like Noble Masquerade of Eve Johnson Hodgson comes in. I'm waiting for this second stop, Ollie. I think you've had a bit of a shocker. She's out in the clear now, my man.
No, but she's run on really.
Okay.
Yeah,
I take it back. She has run into the back of the
tell you what race reader you are, Ollie. Dave's always given it a bit. I did the analysis for this, I did the analysis for that. And he
next
missed
time.
stuff like that.
Next time.
He missed stuff like that. That goes into the tracker Raven's Ark, doesn't it?
Neil Hubbard, tell us about the story in the market. We called it around about 4 furlongs out. Shandos must have been a big price at that point.
Matched at a high of 8, so big, but perhaps not as big as you might have expected. Cepheus a low of 2.2, Kipps a low of 2.32, so he didn't actually go massively short. My Frankel 3.8, Alcacar on the front end hit a low of 5.5, but yeah, Chandos a high of 8, but nothing wonderfully short. So it always felt like the market sort of had Chandos on side and wasn't too keen on anything else, really.
It's the old Rolly Cup to come for this, isn't it, next? That's the race, isn't it? The one, this is the next stepping stone, the valuable, similar race to this, more valuable at the Cesarewitch meeting, is it? I think, probably.
I think it's at Cesarewitch meeting.
That's where Roger Veron's winner of the race last year went. Bruce,
I love the fact
happy.
that poor old Huey, he hasn't got a hard luck story to tell about Kipps, but he does about his other runners.
Yeah, and the fact that he's put that into that race with that
poor
rating.
old George Rook.
Yeah, absolutely.
It will go up. It's going to go up a couple of pounds, isn't it, as well? So, but look, she can go down in grade, you think, a little bit. And there's one there. Noble Masquerade as well, just catching my eye going on a little bit there. Did you get on, indeed, Kipps? Did you have another chance out there? All our followers, let us know your social media comments. Let's keep them coming in. # Racing Post Live. Facebook Live or indeed YouTube as well. Kipps, my goodness gracious me. I think Tom Segal will jump off that one now.
I think everyone will, won't they?
Everyone.
Yeah. And you mentioned there about George Rook. What will happen when he gets into the paddock? Will it be bad luck, mate?
Come on, Ollie, come
I think
on.
you need a few more earpieces.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's face it, that's something to hone in on. Do you think trainers have been able to be a little bit more free in the paddock afterwards?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, 'cause they can absolutely
okay, the
tear.
cameras are there, but let's face it, they're all socially distanced somewhere in the distance.
Well, I don't. You can make yourself look even more stupid if you get carried away.
What?
Because everyone can hear you. But we don't generally get carried away with jockeys. We just sort of think about it and then go home and then think about the next
I
decision.
mean, for a lot of trainers, and jockeys tell us this, they say that, for the trainer, the jockey is the first thing to blame during a race. Because if a horse runs badly, they've got to come up with some sort of explanation for the owner, haven't they?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what's on your list? If you've got to tell an owner or try and appease an angry owner, what's your list? You've got the ground, haven't you?
We've got the ground, we've got the trip,
The jockey.
Occasionally, we've got.
You've probably got.
Didn't like the kickback. Didn't like the lights at Wolverhampton.
You'll try with some headgear next time.
Suffered a breathing problem. Yeah.
I tell you what, if one of you guys,
Lost a shoe.
if someone could write a book about excuses, it'd be silly for every trainer not to buy it because everyone's looking for excuses.
Well, there's 350 of them out there. It would be a good publication to buy.
But do you ever have to actually turn around and say, mate, he's useless?
Well, funny enough, there was one jockey that we ran a horse at Sandown, and he came in and he said, "This thing is useless," with another word involved. And I'm like, why are you saying this? I mean,
What, with the owner present?
Yeah, with the owner. I'm just like, are you for real? And he was like, well, I didn't say that. And I was just on the way back, I was just thinking all sorts of things in my head.
P45.
Never again.
No,
It's a bit like the famous story of Ben Lee, one of my father's old friends. He, I think Leicester was riding for him at, I think it was at Kempton one time, and the horse didn't win. I think it was favourite, and Ben Lee goes into the jockey's room saying, "You'll never ride for me again." And Leicester replied, "I'll have to hang up my boots then, won't I?"
Well, that's the bigger story for you on the show. Trainers, just before we move on, because we're building up now next to Haydock Group 1 action coming up. We've got around about 20 minutes. You've got to play it a little bit like football managers, haven't you? For example, Nigel Pearson, who was involved in my team, Watford, right? We've been told by all the Leicester fans who we used to associate Nigel with before he came, he's on Prozac. He's waiting to go. And obviously Watford got relegated this season, and he would come out and these horribly socially distanced interviews. Do you remember that they had to do? They had to come out on the pitch and do them, didn't they? And we were looking at him going, is he? And his eyes were starting to go. You remember the Clouseau films with, Clouseau, like that. His eyes did start to go, and apparently the dressing room did kick off. Absolutely. Do you find you can't obviously, in the media throw a jockey under a bus, can you?
Well, with horse racing, there's no point in crying over spilled milk. It is what it is. I mean, we have to put up with so much disappointment. The elation of winning a race normally is more relief than anything else, because, you're only as good as your last winner. But there's no point crying over spilled milk. What's happened has happened. Everyone, what a lot of owners forget, not including ours, but most of ours, is that everyone is trying to do the same job. Everyone's trying to get the horse to win a race. And sometimes you get the situation where it's the owner versus you, but what the owner versus you, the owner forgets that you're all trying to go the same way. And horses disappoint you. And when I sort of get an owner in the yard, I always say, they say, what should I spend on this horse? I always say, please spend what you can comfortably afford to lose.
When betting, you mean?
No, when buying a horse.
I see. All right, okay.
But, I could tell them 100 brilliant stories because, we've had a bit of success in our time. But you've always got to go, as an owner, go in there with your eyes open.
Do you think one of the consequences, one potential positive consequence of the difficulties racing's experiencing at the moment is that potentially horses will actually start costing slightly more realistic money at the sales? Because, I've been at Arcana with you in Dover, and you stand there and you just look and it's like 300 grand, 85 grand, 400 grand, 160 grand. Hang on a sec. These horses every minute are going for six-figure sums, but how many horses in the course of a flat season win a six-figure sum? Yeah.
Let me tell you something that's interesting. We've trained some pretty good horses that have gone on to be stallions, and when you sell them as stallions, you sell them for basically less than a top lot at Arcana, or much less than a top lot at Arcana to be a stallion. So everyone's trying to, buy a stallion, but in the end, these stallions get sold for less than, top lots at Arcana and everything. So
that's so strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
But could you see the price? We're already obviously the sales season. We're already seeing massive reductions in how much horses cost. Do you think that could become a longer term thing, or is the fact that you've always got the big hitters, the absolute billionaires in there, going to prop it up at the top level?
I think there needs to be a serious check in the market when it comes to buying horses. I think it should be more affordable, and I think just reading the results of the Doncaster sale, it looks like it's going to be a lot more affordable. But quite honestly, we didn't go to Doncaster. It's the first time in a long time. We're going to be going to a few sales. We buy a lot in France. We've done seriously well. We bought Duke of Hazard in France, and we've got a very, very nice horse running in a couple of weeks called Zhang Fei that's going for a big sales race over there.
So is it Duke of Hazard?
Duke of Hazard, yeah. But, you go to France, you buy these French horses, and you can go and run them in France.
Yeah,
it's perfect logical sense, isn't it? And we buy a lot of them from there.
Cheers, Ollie. Talking of checking the market, we've had a little bit of downtime. Let's get excited then for the Group 1 action. Neil Hubbard, who's going to go off favourite for the Sprint Cup?
Dream of Dreams looks to be clear favourite at the minute, so 4.1, so 3-1 in fractional terms. Hello Yumzane, last year's winner, 5.7. Art Power, 7.4. Lope Fernandez, 9.2. Golden Horde, 9.6. Double figures the rest. But yeah, Dream of Dreams, very solid at the top of the market.
And where is the Neil Hubbard play? So our followers, a legion of them out there, can react to what you're doing, old boy.
Yeah, well, you actually sort of touched on it briefly earlier, and I quite like this Tabdeed in here, or Tabdeed, sorry. Yeah. The Al Maktoum horse. Yeah, I quite like him. He's won 5 from 8 in his career here, so he needs to improve to trouble the best of them here, but he's on that upward curve. And he's been very interested in trading this morning, noticing it when in the early morning movements, his exchange price hasn't been any bigger than the fixed odds price at all. So he's been very solid in the market all this morning. And I just think he's the one horse. I know that we all get sucked into sort of siding with the sexy, unexposed type horse rather than those that have been there and done it. And he definitely falls into that category. But he could be making up for lost time. And I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that he can get involved here. But in terms of charity bets and how we want to play it, because it is the big feature race of the day, I'm quite interested to hear what everyone else thinks on this, and then we can perhaps look at how we want to play it as a collective.
Well, let's come to Bruce Millington on this front. Ollie, you want to say something?
Well, just looking at the breeding there, Havana Gold, and I think Havana Gold, isn't he the sire of Pile Driver?
Yes.
I think they do like a bit of cut in the ground.
Well, interestingly, let's concentrate on Tabdeed then. In the Bengoff Stakes behind Cape Byron last year at Ascot, they said he was reportedly unsuited by the going, in which their opinion was tacky. So he has one on good to soft. I know connections are bullish about him going forward, so you're betting against the ground almost. Bruce Millington, I want to come to you with this. You are the number one fan of Elo Yumzane.
I am.
You weren't going to be with him at the price, but has he now come up to to a Brucey price?
Not really. No, he hasn't. I think he's going to be thereabouts. I think he'll be in the first four, and he ran terrifically last time. But I just think it's such a hard race. I really don't like Dream of Dreams. I just thought that run was so flattering at Newbury. It was 7 furlongs. It was a really, really poor race comparative to the kind of status of the race. So I'm going to look further down for value. The one thing I would say is that I'm going to bet in such a way that if Art Power wins, I won't lose. This is another one of our forgiveness horses, isn't it? Because although, we all said, wow, that was a terrible run behind Batash. The ground was good, and nothing he's done has suggested he likes good ground. And the other thing, he's only got beat 5 lengths. Now, plenty of horses, good horses, wear a badge saying I'm 5 lengths worse than Batash. There's no real shame in that. So I could see Art Power bouncing back here. I think Lope's got a chance. I like the 3-year-olds. 3-year-olds won, I think, 5 of the last 6. But I'm going right down the bottom. I'm sticking with Summergand because in a big field, I think that's his caper, and I can see him coming through. He's not got that much to find on ratings. He's got his ground. I think Summergand, particularly if you've got a bookmaker with a lot of extra places, I'm interested there. And I've gone really big no, I haven't gone really big. I've gone for a really big price in Forever in Dreams. Second, yeah, exactly, yeah. But second in the Commonwealth Cup last year, third in the Champions Day sprint on really heavy. Blew out here on heavy ground. I know there's a lot of holes in there, but there's a few bits in there that make you think that 65 and I think 12 for a place might be value. So
big glass slippers when winning over course and distance. I remember.
On the best of her form, I think she's got a chance here. So I'm going to go for Glory with some big prices.
Okay, Ollie Cole, your idea of the winner?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go with Dream of Dreams, but I also like Golden Horde just as a fun each way, but I wouldn't be too strong on that.
Do you know what? There's not been a lot of love for him this week. It's surprising. It's gone slightly under the radar. Spoke to Clive Cox this yard this week, and I think they're definitely still keeping the faith. It's all about the ground with him as well. But you're right, 3-year-olds have dominated this race. It looks like Art Power is the buzzer. For me, 9-2, Hello Hume Zane, that is the price I'm interested in. The draw is interesting here, chaps, because the top 4 in the betting are all drawn high. If you remember, Hume Zane last year came right down the middle. That's kind of when the winners have been coming from. Yukon Glen in our Old Borough Cup, he was the one that went on the outside, that came to stand side. I think they're going to make a slight beeline away from the rail. That's how I see it going. Lope Y Fernandez. Ryan Moore, of course, would be a story of the race. Supposed to be in quarantine, wasn't he, in Tipperary? Been riding this chap in work, convinced Aidan to take his chance, he can go over and ride it. So you like A Dream of Dreams. Let's look away from that then. Shall we have a little bit of a place bet on Summergand? He's a friend of the show, isn't he?
Well, I like the way Neil said, look, I mean, I'm not too sure, so I'll see what you lot think. We've tipped every other horse in the race.
Yeah.
So, Neil, what do you decipher from that?
We might all land on one angle here, and that would be the
You
way
can't.
that
It's not that sort of race, is it? It's impossible, isn't it? Yeah, let's get some social clues.
Yeah, do we have any social clues out there? Are there any? Well, there are 3. Okay, Hello Hume Zane for the Sprint Cup. Connor's aviation video is a little bit of a plug there. I'm with you then, Connor. Daniel Mann, good to have you back, Daniel. Art Power, keep it simple. And the third one, Soulful Music 100 Tab D for me. Dancing all the way to the bookies with that one. Okay, so yeah, I agree, Bruce, it is that sort of race. So what are we going to do, chaps? I'd be happy to have a little bit on Summergand in the place market. What sort of place market we got, Neil?
Yeah, so we've got 2, 3 or 4 places, so plenty of choice.
Let's go 4.
It's got to be 4.
Yeah, in the 4 places, he's 6.8.
Yeah,
so,
see? How about that?
That's a pretty nice price, that is.
20 on that?
Yeah, we can go £20 on that, on him to finish in the first 4. And we've sort of said before on this show, like the difference between those sort of top draw handicap sprinters jumping into pattern class isn't necessarily as big a leap as perhaps some other distances. So, yeah, quite happy to row in on that one.
I think we should go with Tab Deed as well, because you did make a very good case at the start there, Neil. So you are the man. So I think, what should we have on Tab Deed?
How do we want to play Tab Deed though? What, win and place, or just place?
Win.
Well, I think it's win, because if he goes on the ground, he goes close, doesn't he?
Let's go with 2 more win bets. So we're having 3 bets in all. Summergand for a place, Tab Deed for a win. Should we have 20 on that?
Yeah. And what was the other one?
Ollie liked Golden Horde, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but
I don't mind that, because I like the
Commonwealth
3-year-old
Cup
angle.
winner. Yeah, and he actually he was a little bit unlucky against Hello Hume Zane in France last time, because he just went for home that little bit too soon, I think. So
20 it's worth bearing in mind he was 3rd on heavy ground in the Prix Mornay as well, so you wouldn't think conditions would, as a juvenile, so you wouldn't think conditions would be a massive inconvenience for him. So yeah.
He's actually being backed as we speak.
They've got the draw as well.
When we started talking about Golden Horde, he was 9 and he's now 7.8. So that's
power of Racing Post Live.
Shortening even.
We've not mentioned the Tin Man. We need to give him a shout. We need to give Glenn Shield a shout as well. Holly Doyle's first ever ride in a Group 1 race. That's remarkable and tells you exactly how Holly's gone on. The Tin Man, obviously winner of this race. And he knows, was he second last year, Tello?
He was, his form figures are 2-3-1-2 in this race.
And when you consider this isn't, a stellar. It's a really interesting race and it's very competitive, but it's not stellar. So I love the old Tin Man. I could see him finishing first one quite easily.
Would ordinarily be a bit tricky, wouldn't it? But Andrew Arazzini's going to just tack in. Of course, Tabdi touched him off on more lively ground last time, so could be a little bit surprised they're not closer in the market. Summergand, you talk about course form. He's had 3 runs here. I was just looking down. 5th on his debut, win and a place.
Yeah,
so
come on,
don't worry about Haydock.
You've got to keep one. If this is a roulette wheel, you've got to keep. When you win on roulette and they clear them all off, you always keep one chip on your winning number, don't you? And so Summergand, we've got to do that. We haven't mentioned Brando as well. Who's another lovely old boy from Kevin Ryan's yard. And he's another who you could just see entering the premises later on, isn't he?
Yeah, Air Gold Cup winner, of course, who's proven himself
second in the chip chase, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, of course he was. Judicial, that form was walked out. 6th in the July Cup, of course. A little bit disappointing when that was over 7, of course. I spoke to Adam Ryan yesterday and he basically said, look, we needed to give him a run before this. Do not rule him out. So
we'd love the
what a race we've got in prospect. Enjoy it, sample it. It's fast and furious. Will Hello Youmzain, back-to-back winners in race. They're few and far between. I like him. I think if you go with him early, you are in trouble. Will Dream of Dreams be able to lie up? Bruce Millington's hoping not, having laid him for a place. Summergand, a real friend of the show this year, we'll be hoping for him charging late.
Ollie, what do you make of Art Power?
Art Power. I don't think I'd be too confident with Art Power.
I don't really get the Art Power thing either.
He won a Group 3.
Really unpopular in the gallery.
He won a Group 3 in Ireland.
It was the handicap at Ascot, wasn't he? He blew apart. But
I think he can do anything here. I think he can. But my point is that if you actually look again at that Batesh run, it wasn't as bad as everyone was making out.
He was a little bit slow away, wasn't he? And just caught out on the wing a little bit. But there's 1 or 2 more to go in for the Group 1 of the day here then on Racing Post Live. Like I say, enjoy it. Let us know your stories post-race. We've still got one to come from Ascot before we close down the show. In the meantime, we're 1 or 2 more to go in. There's Hello Youmzain. Come on, old boy. I'll hand over to Bruce Millington for the call.
Thank you very much. Really, really looking forward to this race. I think this is going to be an absolute cracker. 6 furlongs on soft ground. There's 13 runners and they are almost all in. Who is going to be the Betfair Sprint Cup Stakes champion of 2020? They are off and running. Brando's been dropped out towards the back in the noseband. Well up there early on. Ooh. Art Power, they've split into 2. Art Power is leading a group down the near side. That also includes Glenn Shield, also includes Brando, also includes the other one with yellow. I think it's Dream of Dreams. Yeah, Dream of Dreams is coming down the near side. So is that where the action's going to be? Lope Fernandez as well. So 6 of them have come down the near side and the other 7 are over the far side. They're headed by Golden Horde. Then comes the grey who
Forever
is...
in Dreams.
Yeah, Forever in Dreams. But it's Art Power showing them a clean pair of heels as they come to the 3 pole. Who do you like, lads?
Oh, I tell you what, if Hello Youmzain gets a run on the near side, he wins. The Tin Man's coming into this nice as well. Where's Summergand? He's going all right.
Where's the old Summer? There he is. Yeah, he's on the far side. He's got a bit of work to do. Here comes Dream of Dreams, though. Dream of Dreams is odds on, 1.5. Still got a couple to pass. Art Power is there. Art Power, Dream of Dreams. Golden Horde on the far side. Glenn Shield running a blinder. Here comes Dream of Dreams, Dream of Dreams. And down the far side is Golden Horde. Is it going to be Dream of Dreams? Dream of Dreams going to get it done.
Take out his first Group 1.
Dream of Dreams gets the job done by a length and a half. It's going to be close for second. It's just Glenn Shield. And then comes Golden Horde in third. Fair play. I got that completely wrong. Oisin Murphy wins it on Dream of Dreams.
It does.
The favourite, well played.
Happened to the best of us, Bruce, didn't it? And well done, Ollie Cole. You were keen on him. Well done, Graham Rodway. 2 points win in the paper today. If you stuck there, he thought it was the change of tactics last time. And one person that does call out jockeys, he thought that Oisin Murphy was the making of this horse. He, of course, was just touched off in the Diamond Jubilee, wasn't he, at Ascot by Hello Youmzain. Watch Hello Youmzain back, guys. Had a horrible run. You kind of needed to be in the centre, and Oshin has ridden an absolute peach. Also, the story of the race. Look who runs on into second place. Beat Tabdean in the chip chase at Newcastle early in the year. Holly Doyle,
She's a serious rider.
She's finished second. Is that Golden Horde that's going to hang on for third?
Art Power gets fourth. Hello Youmzain is fifth, and in sixth is the lovely old Tim Mann. Tabdean finished last. Fascinating race. You'd need to watch that a few times, wouldn't you? Because there's going to be plenty of clues for the rest of this year's big sprints. But yeah, Holly Doyle, what a great spin she's had on her first ever Group 1 ride. It certainly won't be her last.
I tell you what, they're going to be really looking forward to Champions Day now with this chap, aren't they?
Wow.
I think it's fair to say, having blown out in the race last year, this isn't his ideal track. Back down to 6 furlongs. If there's a bit of cut in the ground there, Dream or Dreams, they'll really fancy their chances there.
Have you got Hello Youmzain down as an official hard luck story, Dave?
I don't think he was going to win, but just watch him, guys. He's kept in by Holly and Glenn Shield, and he was cruising. One of the last off the bridle. Now Kevin Stock realises he's in a lot of trouble, and I think the way he has to switch, it probably has cost him a place. I think definitely.
Nice and simple for a Sheen, though, wasn't it? He's unbelievable. Isn't he, Ollie? Do you love him?
Great jockey. Really good.
What about Golden
But I think
Horde?
Holly Doyle is a really, really good jockey too.
Oh, she's marvellous. What about Golden Horde? Because it looked like it was going to be Harry Angel at one point, didn't it? Clive Cox's previous when he hasn't quite got home. Probably the ground. He's run an absolute blinder, actually.
Yeah, he has, because they'll probably be the ones who would say, with justification, well, if any horse didn't like the ground, it's us.
You know where you'd go with him? You'd go to the Abbey with him, wouldn't you? Showing pace like that, he'd be fine there, wouldn't he? I think testing 5 furlongs there for him. We know he goes to France.
Yeah, but again, if it's horrible Longchamp October cut in the ground, I'm not sure that's his game.
I just think that was
Has
a
he
little
not
bit
won
too
on the
different.
heavy now?
Where's he going to get fast ground now, though?
probably has,
Where would he get fast ground? Tricky, isn't it?
I think he's won on the heavy though.
Yeah, well, he was... Neil, let's go to you, actually. Story of the race, waiting in the wings there. Before we get that, you said he placed Golden Horde on heavy ground earlier on.
I think he was third in the Mornay last year, wasn't he? Behind Earthlight.
Did he do a bit too much then, Neil, do you think, there? And the ground is fine for him, or was it the ground that caught him out?
Yeah, well, he hasn't run a bad race, has he? What did he finish? Third in the end? I mean, he's run a really good race. He's holding his form really well this season. I don't know. Was he drawn on the wrong bit of the track because everything else came down this near side? I don't know. I think sometimes perhaps you try and look for an excuse.
How
there,
short did he go?
He ran really well. No, he didn't really go that, like 4. He hit 4.0. I mean, Hello Youmzain 4.5, Art Power 4.2, Glen Shield 4.7. Nothing really went massively short. Dream of Dreams only hit a high of 5. So there wasn't really much going on in the race, to be totally honest. I think maybe that was because it was a bit difficult to try and work out exactly who was ahead at different times because of the way they split. But a pretty calm in running market, really. But Dream of Dreams, just they wouldn't let him get any bigger than around the 4-1 mark. Pretty good.
If you're on Dream of Dreams, the fact that Art Power took Hello Youmzain's measure and got that rail and kept him in, that was really where the race was won and lost, I think. Yeah. So that was perfect for Dream of Dreams. Well done, Graham Rodway. I know you're absolutely mad on that one.
And he did slightly hang Dream of Dreams in the end, didn't he?
And Oisin Murphy's just brilliant, isn't he? He can pull him out tactically at the right time, and then he's got that strength in the saddle as well, which is what you want to see. So
right now, Ollie, if you've got we're fast forwarding to the start of next June, and you've got the even money favourite for the Derby, and you've got the choice of any jockey, who do you go for?
That's a very good question. Obviously, Frankie Dettori would have to be the one, wouldn't he? But I think Frankie has to believe in the horse. But if it's favourite, obviously he'd believe in the horse. And
that's an interesting comment, isn't it, Frank? Because a lot of punters watching the show, mainly punters watching this show, there was a time, wasn't it, that if Frankie wasn't going to win a race, a lot of each-way punters. You remember Richard Hughes used to get clobbered like that, didn't he? But that's interesting what you said about that. If Frankie believes in the horse. Very interesting comment.
I think Adzini's very good. I think he's very, very good around Epsom. I think he's sort of so nimble and as you're probably alluding to, Oisin, for sure, he'd have to be...
He's just up there. I mean, tactically he seems so good, doesn't he? Just, again...
The all-rounder. And he's booked for the champion jockey again, isn't he? That's an interesting title challenge next year, I think, coming up, isn't it? Would you totally roll Holly Doyle out of that? The Jockeys' Championship, a female champion jockey.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's got it in terms of ability. The thing is, you've got to have that blend of stables that are going to give you a chance to ride loads of winners on a Saturday rather than take you off to somewhere for one big race ride. And you've got to get the patronage of as many owners as possible. And like it or not, there are still, admittedly, a dwindling number of owners who would rather not have a female jockey.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need that northern backing as well, don't you? That
And you
Richard
also,
Fahey type.
as a jockey, you also need to be able to talk the talk.
Well, she
But
can do that.
does she?
I mean, I don't know the girl. I just said to her, "Well done" the other day in the. Cause we've never used it, but you know, I think a lot of jockeys get these big retainers by being able to talk the talk.
So what? Personal PR
is
as
big.
important as, or not? But it's a big factor.
Yeah, I think it gets jockeys far.
Is that because owners like to be not schmoozed, but they just like good feedback?
Yeah, they like the rapport. They like to think they can make friends out of jockeys, and you know, I think it does go a long way.
And who's good at that?
Well, I think a lot of them are good. I think.
And yet Leicester had the greatest career of all time. And he would basically sell his words to you rather than give them. So it's not always worked like that.
Treat them mean, keep them keen.
Well,
I mean, Pat Edry wouldn't have been particularly.
Well, that's
chatty,
why
I
people
suppose,
liken Ryan Moore to Lester Piggott, not just his ability.
But they also say as well, don't know how he jumps, that McCoy was fantastic. And
Yeah.
I had a mate who had a leg in a horse that won a Tuppenny Halfpenny race at Newton Abbot or somewhere. Not only did McCoy give the most phenomenal feedback and make them feel $1 million, they then got a card from him saying thanks for the ride.
Really?
Later in the week. I mean,
Wow, that
just
is
ridiculous.
fantastic.
That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
He's an amazing guy. He's an amazing guy, McCoy. I mean, he's been a great friend of mine. Him and Chanel have done a lot for me by... They came to Wentworth Golf Club with me last year to meet a load of flat owners. He'll do anything for you, and he's got time for everyone.
Yeah.
He's the best man in the sport.
He's very good at the debriefs, wasn't he? So there's hope for us yet, Bruce, basically. Is the long and short of it, isn't it? Absolutely. All right, listen, we've got one more to come here on Racing Post Live. We're 5 minutes away from, well, we're going out on a high. It's a tricky sprint, handicap 9 to 2-ish. The field, I think, Neil Hubbard, let's come to you then for the final race this Saturday on RP Live.
Yeah, so Jonah Jones, 5.7, head of the market. Masonic, 9. Spanish City, 8.2. Rathbone, 9. Golden Apollo, 10.5. Gulliver, 10. And 13's all bigger the rest.
And where are you playing, Neil?
Yeah, so I think this is quite an interesting little race. I think probably like to have a more sort of like nailed on chance of a winner, probably something like Kimmy 5 in the 4 places market is probably the way to play this, because you know that he'll be coming late and be running into a place. But I do like Golden Apollo here for Tim Easterby. Normally can be found around the northern tracks, Golden Apollo, but ventures south. He won the Air Silver Cup off 97 last year, runs here off 92. Wasn't beaten far in the Great St Wilfrid last time after a decent run at York. Decent course form. Seems to be running into a spot of form. So small little win bet on Golden Apollo for me.
How much, my friend?
So what price is he now? So he's about 10.5. Yeah, so £20 win on that at 10.5.
Okay.
He wasn't disgraced in the Silver Wokingham, wasn't he, Neil, on his return?
No, not at all. He runs well at Ascot generally for a horse
yes,
that's normally
he does.
your Doncaster and Ayr and Ripon and Pontefract type
Yeah, he
of
has
horse.
won it. He's one of these horses, Golden Apollo, over the years, which had you tearing your hair out. And that was the case when he won at Ayr last year. I remember analysing the race for the Post, funnily enough. And I remember just saying, where on earth has this come from? My worry about that, Neil, is it's all about Ayr with him for the Easterby camp. That would be now 92. The weight's already out for the Ayr Gold Cup. It'll probably be silver again. So he'd get a penalty for that if he won here. But I wish you well with that project, my friend, basically. Bruce Millington, where are you playing in the final race of the day?
I'm amazed that Masonic has touched double figure price. I don't get that at all.
Was it Fav at the start of the day?
Very solid Fav, kind of 3-1, 4-1 top whack, and now drifted right out. And I'm not really seeing why. Banging form, won its last 2 really authoritatively, and just looks like a sprinter going places. So I'm surprised by the drift, but never afraid of a drift. So I am going to go for Masonic at a pleasingly big price.
Ollie Cole, the final race of the day. Where did the radar home in on?
What about Indian Creek?
Yeah, got a bit of love for him myself, actually. One of the 2 that I've backed in this. 3-year-olds have won the last 2 editions of the race.
Yeah.
And I think he's still okay handicapped under his penalties.
So it improved to dropping back. And
this is a horse that Paul Keeley liked a couple back on this show, I seem to remember, and he didn't run that well at Newmarket. And he should like the ground as well, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
He's drawn in 9. The other one I like is Rathbone. Just let the punters out there know. I speak to Adam Ryan, Kevin Ryan's son, yesterday. He really could not put us. He was very, very keen on this. Let's put it that way. What sort of price is he in the market, Rathbone, at the minute? Oh, is he a goner? Is he?
I'll tell you
what.
Neil's
gone.
I'll tell you what. There's the
We'll get Neil
favourite. The favourite is a real cliff horse, Jonah Jones. I mean, I know plenty of people who. They've been backing this thing time after time after time. He's kind of like, we've had Kipps already, who's probably the patron saint of cliff horses, running and got beat again today. And Jonah Jones is another one. And
front runner.
Yeah, well.
He does quite like Ascot, actually. Ed Walker's won the last 2 of these. Yeah. So, and he was definitely the big gamble, along with Rathbone. Just another word for Rathbone. Watch back in your members club. You got time to do it. They're ambling down. Over 7 last time at York. He ran an absolute blinder. That wouldn't be his trip. They've given him a wind operation since that. Megan Nichols, they're going to ride him cold. Perfect for Ascot, I think this will be. He was 20 to 1 yesterday. He's now in around about 6.5 to 1, I think, Bruce, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Slammed.
Dave, you mentioned they're ambling down. Normally, by this time at Ascot, they're 20 minutes behind. To be fair, they're all down at the start, and we're literally at post time. So for Ascot, this is a fairly good effort to keep up, because I mean they had a pretty lamentable record in days gone by for starting on time.
I'm trying to remember how they were at the Royal meeting.
Hang on a second. Here we go. This is Kimmy 5. I take it back. Kimmy 5's got literally half the track to cover.
Put the kettle on. Go to the bar, wherever you are. You've got time.
We've got plenty of time. Should we have a quick word about the Arc? Because we didn't really get to discuss. Enable, that hasn't really done much to her chances either way, has it? Or would you, if you were Gosden, would you say, do you know what, I'm more confident now, or exactly the same? She's done exactly what you'd expect.
Well, I think she's done exactly what you expect. I think she's an amazing filly. She's probably quite hard to back against, but at the same time, you've got Love there and Gayeth if he runs. I mean, it's going to just be very, very interesting.
Will Gayeth run? It's something we were chatting about yesterday here in the office. There was a lovely piece, wasn't there, on the website. He's got 4 options ahead of him. Irish Champion Stakes, the Our Champion Stakes, along with the Arc and the Breeders' Cup. I would 100% take him to Ascot and then the Breeders' Cup.
Well, it was a great piece because Charlie Appleby basically said he didn't know what he was going to do, and then he had 4 writers from the Racing Post telling him
exactly what to do.
And all doing that thing saying if he was mine, like any of us can afford.
Didn't he say so? Well, one of the writers said the logical step. What is?
Oh yes. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that with Rotherwick, shall we? For you?
Yeah, please.
Probably help.
Do you know what you do with Gayeth? If he's the best horse in the world, he runs in the best race in the world.
So
he runs in the Arc. It's as simple as that. Anything else, it's not a cop-out, but it's a disappointment. He runs in the Arc, end of.
But I want to see him at Ascot for our Champions Day, especially this year of all years. I want to see him. We need our star in our Champions Day.
Do you think they're thinking about the champion stakes for the stallion?
I don't know. I mean, what's
they won
going
it with Farr, didn't they?
What's going to enhance him more?
Recently.
If you win an Arc, you're a bigger star, aren't you? I mean, the Champion Stakes it'll be good, and it's probably a much easier race to win. But I don't think what he did last year is reflective of what he's capable of now.
Sure. No.
I think 1.5 miles he's fine.
An inside draw, he'd be a buzzer, wouldn't he?
I think he's got every chance either way because he's going to go up and make it. So I don't think the draw matters to him.
Neil Hubbard, last race of the day. Then while we divulge, we've got you back, Neil. That's good. That's good in your cupboard. Let's have a look at what you've got for us. Is it all about Jonah Jones and Rathbone?
Yeah, Jonah Jones 4.4 at the top, Rathbone 8.4, clear second favourite. So yeah, plenty of support for those two.
Looks like Gulliver's been backed as well. He's a cliff horse as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Gulliver was mine. I think that I put him up in the Stewards' Cup. I think, yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's one of those, isn't he? Like actually in the same colours as Escobar. That it's the moment you get off him, he'll run well. Good luck to you. Whatever you're hoping will run well in this 340 at Ascot. It's over to Bruce Millington. Nice tricky goal.
The Jonah Jones fan club are the most loyal people in racing. They have gone in again, and he's not very quick away. He's one of the last ones out of the stalls. Very sedate pace for a 6 furlong race, this. Deigning to take up the running at long last is probably Equiano Springs. That's coming bang down the middle of the track. Masonic is up there as well, and also Equitation for Stuart Williams, as well as Indian Creek. What do you like, chaps?
I'll be disappointed if Equitation wins. He won at this meeting last year, and I've been off him since then. He's got a lovely sit. Indian Creek Ollie's going quite well nicely, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going very well. It's almost like a 5 furlong race, not a 6 furlong race, because they've crawled and then gone.
Yeah, the closest are going to struggle to get involved here, Bruce. I think we're around about halfway.
Yeah, Spanish City is out the back. Gulliver travels, but he's got a lot to do. Kimi 5 is out the back, but beginning to make up ground. So it's Equiano Springs being eyeballed by Equitation. Masonic has come under a ride early on, coming down the near side. Now with the white face is Rathbone.
Go on, Rathbone.
Kimi 5's got going on the far side. Rathbone now takes it up. Rathbone, Kimi 5.
Go on, Megan.
Kimi 5 and Rathbone.
Go on,
It's Rathbone. But also coming storming down the middle of the track.
Don't you dare hang Rathbone.
Is that 40 more? Rathbone's going to get picked up on the line. Oh, no.
Oh, mother of pearl.
Oh, dear oh me. It's Kieran Fallon and 40 more.
Oh, that's a stinger.
Oh, my goodness. Poor old Dave. That was I feel for you, my friend.
Do you know what? Everyone that listened to Adam Ryan when he came down into the studio yesterday on our feature show would have hopefully backed that. It was 20-1 yesterday. He said she'd ride it cold, Megan Nichols. I'm not saying that she's got there too soon, because if she had have ridden it cold the way they went that pace, she probably wouldn't have got there. But he just has got there that little bit too soon. You see it at Ascot so much, don't you? You think you're clear, half a furlong to go, and we've been nobbled. Jonah Jones, Bruce, on the far side is one.
Jonah Jones running on well just to keep his fan club going for one more time. They'll enjoy that. But
and of course,
what a ride by young Kieran. I mean, look at this. He's bang in the middle of the pack here, and with it all to do, and there was a lot of traffic problems. I mean, considering that track's about a furlong wide, they do choose a very narrow strip to come down, don't they? I don't get that at all.
And Jonah Jones, he again, if you're looking for an excuses, you can he's found he's been mullered in the run, and he's had to there's a prize in this horse, isn't there? He's had to come all the way around the house. In fact, he's lost about 7 lengths.
Who's that? Jonah.
Jonah Jones.
Yeah. It's another notch on the hard luck bedpost, isn't it? Great run there by young Kieran. Really good stuff.
I really thought he had that.
Yeah, you're unlucky. Again, if you've backed Jonah Jones, you're going to say, that was unlucky, that should have won. I'm going to back it next time. But it just keeps on happening, doesn't it? Kimi 5's got going and run a really good race. And in actual fact, the handicapper will be loving that, because they've all finished pretty close up to each other. There must have been some money for 40 more, though, Neil, because 9-1, considering how unheralded she was in the pre-race chat, it suggests there was some confidence from the Ben Haslam yard.
Yeah, I mean, her starting price was around 11.5 to 1, but she actually got hit a high of 210 in running for a few quid.
That's
and Rathbone, just to pour a little bit more misery on, was done at 1.5. Kimi 5, as we sort of flagged up, ran on to the 4 places, as we sort of thought that he might. 2.22 a low for him. But yeah, 210 for a very small amount on the winner. And the runner-up done at a heartbreaking 1.5.
And how did the Kimi 5 bet go, Neil?
Oh we didn't in the end. We did him, but we said 4 to be placed, didn't we? And he did get he did finish 4th, I believe.
Okay. I'll tell you who else caught my eye there, Neil, with air in mind in 2 weeks, was Golden Apollo. He
travelled sort of fine. He got squeezed. There was a gap for him, and he couldn't quite quicken, because it did turn into a proper sprint, didn't it, as we sort of said. And he got squeezed. There was a gap there, but he got squeezed out of it, and Phil Dennis just had to sit and take his medicine, really.
I don't think they'll be too disappointed with that, with the Great Air meeting in mind. Well, that was a cracking finish, wasn't it? We started off with Mighty Gurkha landing the team bet, didn't we? Pretty much. That was after the Haydock race. And I really thought we were going to get the money there. But listen, lots of you would have backed it each way. Thanks to Adam Ryan for that tip, and they've got him right.
I'm quite surprised he was only done at 1.5.
Same.
I thought he might have been one of those ones where people have jabbed the finger at a much shorter price. Old Spanish City, I mean, he's another one who, if there's some hard luck, he'll find it, and he's run on really well, despite having a bad run. Ollie, one little thing. I mean, I think jockeys get too much stick, but I mentioned it just then. That track is so wide, and yet they all occupy a tiny little strip of ground. Why do they insist on doing that? What is it that they're afraid to go? Do they think they're going to lose ground? Or it just seems logical to me that if you've got a horse that you think has got a chance, give it some daylight. I just don't know why they all run right on top of each other.
Well, I think a lot of the time, especially with these sprinters, they can pull, can't they? And maybe it's a good idea to tuck them in. And I suppose they all go down that little strip because they've all worked out that's the better ground. That's where they haven't raced on, and time again it seems with Ascot.
And do you do much of that yourself? Will you walk a track fastidiously and slalom across, or do you leave that to the jockey? Whose responsibility is that to suss out where the best strip of ground is?
Well, I mean, if you have a runner in the fourth race, you've sort of worked it out by the running. But if you've had a runner in the first race, then you'd probably walk it.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we do.
Okay, and you wouldn't say because we're employing a jockey, it's up to them to do it pre-race.
No, you obviously discuss it with them.
A lot of them do it still, don't they? A lot of them don't, but a lot of them,
Aidan does it with the jockeys, doesn't he?
They do, and they actually fan across the track,
do,
don't
yeah.
they? Yeah, to make sure that is something that's become synonymous with that team, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah, incredible outfit.
Have you enjoyed yourself, Ollie?
I've loved it. Thank you for having me.
It's been brilliant, Bruce, isn't it? Actually?
Excellent, really, really good. So good luck tonight, 8:30.
Yeah.
What's the name of the horse again?
Celtic Classic.
And you're not saying have a huge bet, are you? But
no,
maybe
just
worth
a fun
friendly
bet.
fiver,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with David Probert on in those colours.
Yeah.
And look out still for Duke of Hazzard.
Yeah.
We'll have him back. Where are we thinking he might turn up?
We might go to the Joel Stakes.
Okay, that would be a nice race. We'll hopefully get some cover.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about good old Highland?
Highland Chief's going for the Grand Prix de Paris next week.
Oh, he's going to take on Serpentine, isn't he?
And he loves the ground. And
can you reverse form?
Well, in the Derby, the plan was to go forward, and Serpentine's gone forward. I think the horse is a very, very good horse. He goes there in great form. I was showing Dave the work videos. I think it wouldn't surprise me if he did it. It really wouldn't.
And then maybe back to Ascot at some point for him later on. We know he likes the place, don't we?
Yeah, we'll have to play it by ear, but he might finish him after this.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Fair enough. And then come back next year. With a big Group 1 campaign in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. We'll have you back. You'll be back.
Brilliant.
You're happy to come back in the show?
Yeah, very happy. Very.
Maybe we could do one from Watcombe one time. What do you reckon?
Yeah, do it from Watcombe. Yeah, do it from
Watcombe. Very keen to get us down there,
Yeah.
No, do it from Watcombe.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
and then I can help you get the horses into the stalls.
Yeah, you can help. Yeah.
The acclamation. And the see the move.
That's it.
Neil Hubbard, thank you for joining us again from Betfair. You've enjoyed yourself, Neil. The charity went all right as well, didn't it?
Yeah, been a pleasure. I think we did better as a collective than we did as an individual, but that's all fine. It's all money in the coffers for the charity. So, good stuff. Good racing and a few winners to boot.
And we'll see you back for St Ledger Week at Doncaster next week. We'll hopefully see you back. You'll be back next weekend?
I think I'm back next Sunday, Irish champion.
Beautiful. Cannot we? Yes, big time. We're going to give it the welly for that, aren't we? Thanks for watching then. Don't forget to get your questions in for the panellists below. Facebook Live or indeed YouTube as well. Hashtag Racing Post Live. Until then, big week coming up. Don't go anywhere. Join us back